What is going on, everybody? It is episode 358 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I have two co-hosts with me today. Mary is not feeling well. She's got a podcast appearance that she is doing tomorrow. Joining me today, however, to my left, introduce yourself, sir.
I am Chris Bertman. I am the leader of the Burtoning.
I was wondering if you were going to bring that up.
Oh, of course we're going to bring it. I told you, we're just getting started, man.
I'm gonna need people in the chat to acknowledge this, whether in the Discord. I don't know if you're following the Discord right now. I've got the regular chat open. You got the Discord open. People are gonna have to make their presence known.
Based.
I
love it.
Yes. And to my right, introduce yourself.
Hello. My name is Kellen.
You look like Dr. Disrespect. I'm
kind
sorry.
of. I need. There's a little bit, more get up needed to be Dr. Disrespect. He's cool, man. He's cool. He's one of the biggest streamers on YouTube. I really do like him. I am a fan of Dr. Disrespect.
You're cosplaying as him right now.
I guess. I'm more. My goal was to go as undercover, like Antifa kind of deal, so I can invade the Burtoning and destroy from within.
Wouldn't you have to be wearing all black to do that?
Oh.
Yes? No?
I guess so.
We're kind of
maybe
there.
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the whole point of the black block, right?
Yeah.
That you're wearing all black.
Yeah. Also, dude, don't kick the hornet's nest. Charles has done it several times, and every time it's worked out bad for him.
Listen, I got cyberbullied out of that thing, so...
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. There is this hilarious article where the costume designer or whatever for The Flash basically says, the Flash movie, it's so good, you'll forget the fact that Ezra Miller's a criminal. Okay, that's not the exact words of it, but it's kind of close, right? Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about whether the fact that can people get past the fact that Ezra Miller has basically spent the last year and a half on a whirlwind tour of destruction and violence. Okay, maybe not violence. No, there's been plenty of violence in there too. A whirlwind tour of destruction and choke slams to women in Reykjavik. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the cope from a bunch of people who are complaining that David Zaslav makes $250 million a year while the writers are on strike, which of course is not a good thing to them. Of course, the haves and the have-nots. We'll talk about that. We got some other stuff. I got some tweets that I pulled up discussing the writer's strike that I want to talk about that I think illustrate where I think some of the public sentiment goes towards it. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Jamila Jamil. A broken clock is right twice a day. She has some comments on cancel culture and what outsiders, people who are not part of liberal Hollywood, how they view Hollywood's approach to cancel culture that I actually think are really, really interesting and worth discussing. There's a lot of truth there. Also, Chris Tyson has made some comments after people have speculated that he was kicked off Mr. Beast because he wasn't in his most recent video. And of course, we'll get into that. So if you guys are ready, we will get right into it. Chris, are you ready?
Let's go!
There you go. That's my line usually.
Yeah. Let's do this.
All right, guys. We're gonna get started. First, I do want to make note of this before we get started. Would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? It would make Mary very happy. So if you want to make Mary happy, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to this channel. Also, remember all super chats $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion. We will read them right there. That is going to fall on Kellen today. He's going to read for me.
I've been practicing. I've got a whole stack of Dr. Seuss books in my car. There's barbecue sauce spilled. That's not really important, but yeah, I'm ready to read them.
Hey,
I'm ready to read them. But I will say I'm pretty stoked about this Jackson Mahomes thing. We don't talk about sports enough. In this area, and I can't wait till we get to that one.
Yeah, we're gonna. I knew you wanted to talk about that one. That one, to me, it's like oh man, sports people acting badly. As much as I love sports,
it's so much deeper than that.
It is. So we'll get into that. So let's get started, guys. It gets started here. I want to make note of this first. Jamie Foxx is still in the hospital, and the people who are his family and people who work for him have basically made it known. They said, please pray for Jamie Foxx. And this is a very scary thing to read when you see this. Like, this was 3 weeks ago and he's not out of the hospital yet. I know there's been a lot of speculation as to what's going on here. I heard some people say it was a stroke. I've heard a lot of people say that he's always had trouble with high blood pressure. So that could be a part of it. So I don't know, but it's scary, right?
Well, it's pretty wild. And you know what I find even more wild is this for some reason, this really reminds me of the Damar Hamlin kind of situation that happened a few months ago.
He's been cleared to play, right?
Yeah, but the problem is it's very, very serious illnesses they come down with, if you will, and there's like they're not saying what happened. They're being very, very secretive with what happened. And when I think of fit people, I think of Damar Hamlin, Jamie Foxx. Like they should be super, super healthy.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't really know if it's his responsibility to share with us what's going on. With
Sure. But when you're of that status and you go to the hospital for that long, I feel like people are going to start wondering what's going on.
When you become a public figure, you kind of forfeit the right to that. I mean, you deserve that level of privacy, but realistically, you kind of forfeit that privacy.
Then again, Chadwick Boseman, he didn't really tell anyone what was going on.
No, he hid it completely.
Yeah,
like there was nothing talking about what happened with him.
Yeah. So I don't know. You know, this article says pray for Jamie. I think that you should. No one, you know. I couldn't imagine being in the hospital for more than 2 days, let alone 3 weeks. I mean, the place is awful. There's a common quote that you go to the hospital to get sick, not to get better. So, you know, I would not want to be there for as long as he has been.
Yeah. Have you spent any extensive period of time in the hospital?
Me personally, no. I've had about 17, 18 years ago now, my dad was in the hospital for a little while.
What happened?
He had a blood clot that traveled to his, I think it was lungs.
Oh.
So the doctors were basically saying like he was pretty lucky that he didn't have a heart attack.
Wow.
But yeah, he's doing a lot better now. Yeah, it's scary stuff though, you know.
That's like for me, I spent a lot of time in and out of hospitals growing up. So it's like because I was born deaf in my right ear, so they did a bunch of like eardrum reconstructions. They tried to do tubes several times when they tried to repair it. I had a heart murmur and a lot of stuff. So I spent a lot of time in and out of hospitals when I was younger. So I don't envy anyone having to go through that. That's for sure.
Yeah, you know, and they're saying like I remember this is kind of off topic, but I read an article about your favorite ChatGPT, your favorite friend, Brett.
Yes.
They said apparently ChatGPT has better bedside manner. People
hospital.
are reporting than they've had, you know, their experience in the hospital. And I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised. It sucks. It's almost like it's like nanny state. They're like, how dare you be sick? And it's like you're being lectured the whole time you're there. And it's like, dude, can you just get me a snack and, you know, give me some medicine?
Well, it's not their job to get you a snack.
Well, yeah, but, you know, you get up out of bed and they start yelling at you.
Yes,
so
that is fair. All right. I do want to mention this with Jason Momoa because we're going to be talking about The Flash, and there's a lot going on with DC right now. And he says that he feels no pressure whatsoever for Aquaman 2 to do well. And it kind of feels like they're all just throwing their hands up.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly
they're like, you know, whatever. Like,
Right.
does it really matter if it does? I got paid. And that's it. I mean, granted, for a lot of them, they might make a lot of their money on residuals and stuff like that. Or like a certain amount of ticket sales equal out to better contracts, right? So maybe he should want it to do better than he's saying right here, right?
You'd think.
You'd think? Like,
is he the only one that was going to maintain his character? Or was there
no, I think they'll end up keeping Ezra Miller around. Whatever people say, I think they end up keeping Ezra Miller around.
Apparently Amber Heard's back.
Yes.
Yeah, she's
I mean, they never got rid of her. She was never going.
It was just assumed that she'd be gone over the whole, you know, pooping on Johnny Depp's bed kind of ordeal.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, I didn't even watch the first Aquaman. I'm sorry, but DC movies are a snooze fest to me. You know, and this is not a Marvel versus DC thing, so you know,
it's totally
chat, calm down. I know,
it's totally a Marvel.
I know where you
DC
guys
thing.
are gonna get all upset. Yep. You know, it's what superhero fatigue. It's cape fatigue.
Well, yeah,
you know,
I mean,
it's burnout.
I don't know if that's what it is. I think
people
are just sick of average movies or below average movies that tell the same story over and over again. You can only watch so many sky beams before you end up getting bored of it.
You know, we were talking there's discussions on Netflix of them doing a Gears of War TV show or movie, and Jason Momoa is one of those guys that, you know, if you guys don't know, Gears of War, all of their characters are just insanely buff for no reason, like just absolutely jacked. So like
not for no reason.
No, dude, it's insane. Like they're
like Resident Evil 5, Chris Redfield, just
every single one of them, just absolutely massive. But so finding actors to play that role would be challenging. Jason Momoa would be someone that I think would fit in nicely because he's already just so built. Him, The Rock, a few others, but.
It's funny too because I was watching. I told this. I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast. Sometimes it all runs together. But I've been watching Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles, and it's really funny watching them try to find like regular actors to play Terminators when they're just not. They just don't have Arnie's physique, and they never will have Arnie's physique, right? Like they can find actors who can do the mannerisms. They can have the robotic stare, and they can nail the talking part of it down where they talk like a Terminator. But they just don't have the look that Arnie has when he's running, not even running, walking around.
Well, I think he was a bodybuilder first, right?
Yeah.
So and that's the thing. I mean, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he was a wrestler before he was an actor.
And a football player before that.
Yep. So
he played pro football in Canada before that.
Well, that just explains everything.
Yeah.
Canadian football, but that's what I think they'll need to do is you're gonna need to start if you're a talent agency, you need to go down to the Planet Fitness and start secretly recording people like the Gen Z girls do, and maybe you'll find some talent that way.
What's your body count? That's what they can go. That'll be the next one. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with this because as far as I'm concerned, I'm just kind of checked out of Aquaman, and it feels like that way for the Flash too. But we'll get into that once we get into that discussion. I just thought it was very defeatist to just be like, look, on the average day, I can't just be like, whatever. Like, I have to at least try and hope that, things go well at my job.
I think this is coming from a place where Jason Momoa knows if this thing fails, it's not going to be because of him. Yeah. He's looking around. He's like, oh, Ezra still, Amber Heard still here? Well, F it, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Like, somebody says Terry Crews.
Yeah.
He's a built dude, right?
Yeah, he'd be perfect for Cole because he does that woo all the time anyway, which Cole does in the. Yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully they don't screw it up, the Gears of War project, which they will. I just know they will. But
think they will?
It'll be. I will watch it nonetheless because that's been one of my favorite game franchises forever. And this actual, that's the one thing. Some games are good, just people love to play them. That game was good, and it had an amazing story it was telling. I mean, it won awards, I think it was Gears of War 2. I'm going off on a tangent right
keep
now,
going.
but Gears of War 2 won insane awards for their campaign and just how good the storytelling was. I mean, people to this day still remember oh my God, I cried because of this scene that happened in the game and whatnot. It was over 10 hours, 12 hours of gameplay in the campaign. So it wasn't just well written. It was extensive. So they did a really good job, and we've lost that. And I feel like... Did
you guys watch the trailer for Gran Turismo?
No, but I saw something.
Yeah, and I was just like, what is this?
It's okay, so hold on. I was double checking the stream. So it's apparently, I made fun of it at first because it was the plot seemed ridiculous where a kid's playing a video game. They're like, people who play video games can't be race car drivers. And I'm like, who the hell came up with this ridiculous idea? Yeah. And then I find out it's based on a true story. So apparently the kid in the movie, it's based on a real person who won the GT Academy, which was a combination event between PlayStation and Nissan, where they would do these digital competitions, racing competitions, and basically he won a VR Gran Turismo competition out of 90,000 entrants and got a chance to ride or race for Nissan. So I'm making fun of the theme because it just sounds preposterous. These kids, they don't know how to race cars. They don't know what racing cars is.
They my buddy was just telling me he's got the setups that you can do for these racing games are insane. He's got pedals, an actual wheel, but they've got the gaming chairs are kind of race car bucket seats anyways, but he's got an actual bucket seat, car seat that he'll sit in, and he's got cup holders, and I'm like, dude, you're going all out.
Well, I don't think they have cup holders in race cars. It's 140 degrees in those things.
Man,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your coffee will stay hot.
Yeah, he's drinking coffee. All right. So, also, guys, if you were wondering if The Little Mermaid was coming back in the news, it is. The director has made his feelings on the offensive song lyrics known as well, and he's glad that they're changing the lyrics to the song. I have nothing to say to this except, of course.
Wait,
of course.
What lyrics?
Okay.
Oh, no.
So they're changing lyrics to Kiss the Girl because people have gotten very sensitive about issues of consent. We're not going to be able to play any of it on here, but just let it be known that the world is a much more sensitive place than it was a decade ago. And especially more than 20, 30 years ago. It's just a different world that we live in now. Do you remember Jordan Peterson did like a video on like the psychology behind Cinderella?
Yeah.
Or Snow White? Or was it one of the two?
Yeah.
I believe it was
Cinderella.
Snow White.
I don't know specifically which one, but yeah, I remember.
It's probably done it for all the princesses, honestly, at some point.
Yeah. So like that's the world is just a much more sensitive, and people. I remember somebody in that video, I think, raised questions about consent. He talked about consent in that video. So.
It's silly because first of all, this is a fantasy movie.
Yeah.
But. Oh man, I mean, they're just gonna upset more. Like women wonder why they can't find. Like we're seeing that trend on TikTok. There's women in their 30s. They don't have any prospects. They wonder why they could never like hold down a man. And now you're raising a whole generation where this is going to become the norm.
They don't
right?
need no man.
It's like, well, dude, you're convincing little boys that you can't approach women or it's inappropriate. Yeah. Essentially.
Have you seen those consent apps?
What?
No.
Like, like you both sign an app before doing it.
Oh my god!
I'm not signing my name.
That's a real thing. I mean, as if you wouldn't be able, as if like either party couldn't be like, I was coerced.
Yeah.
Into signing this, but yeah, it's we live in a very robotic and scared society. Everyone's scared of each other. Everyone's scared about somebody else's ulterior motives and things like this. So, like changing lyrics to songs, to innocent songs, is kind of a barometer to where the culture has fallen. In a lot of ways, I think like it shows you like if we're scared of the art, we're certainly just as scared about the people in the real world, right?
I have to say for like the chicks that are in their 30s doing the TikTok videos, this is 100% honesty, 100%. I'm not trying to be mean. I have a hard time feeling bad as somebody who got turned down a lot in high school. Yeah. Okay. Now being married and having like a long-term relationship, it's like I'm having a hard time feeling bad because these are the same girls that rejected me back in the day.
But there's some shade being thrown.
Well, I think the other part to really point out about that, Chris, is that like you took your shot, shoot your shot, if you will. Yeah. Like you took many opportunities. Well, guys are not going to take those opportunities. They're not even going to take those chances anymore. So it's like you found a wife, because you actually went out and put yourself out there. Well, now guys are being taught not to. Yeah. And it's like,
this all started like I missed the train for this.
No wonder men are putting on dresses and putting on makeup. I mean, like, what's the
Yeah. People used to make fun of because they wear the long shirts. They're like, "Are you wearing a dress?" I'm like, "No, it's just a very, very long shirt."
Well, I know which ones you're talking about.
Yeah. All right, let's talk Jackson Mahomes. Tell us all about it.
Oh boy. All right. They got him.
Wow, he took the glasses off. This must be getting
They got him, ladies and gentlemen. So, Jackson Mahomes is the younger brother of Patrick Mahomes. Now, if you don't know Patrick Mahomes, he's basically, I would argue, he is the best football player in the NFL currently. He's just had a stellar career so far, and by and large, without controversy. Now, the little brother, on the other hand, is a Gen Z cringe lord D-bag. There has been multiple times he's gone trending on Twitter for doing all kinds of outlandish stuff on the sidelines while his brother is trying to play a football game at the highest level. Yeah. At the highest level, he's trying to play a football game and make that family a whole bunch of money. Like, that's the thing. Jackson would be nothing without his brother, his millionaire brother. Yeah. Well, anyway, so the outlandish stuff kept getting worse and worse, and maybe because it was algorithm fed.
Oh, I guarantee you, algorithm plays at least part of it.
So it started from dancing on the sideline to getting into fights with fans, and then I remember this video a few months ago, either post game or pre game, some bar. He just basically gropes a woman. And it was
very Don Lemon.
It was very like, what the heck? What is going on here?
Wait, was that a woman? I don't remember. Do you remember what I'm talking about? At the bar?
I think it was a guy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
so it's not very Don Lemon.
So Don Lemon Jr. over here, he goes and this video surfaces and everyone's like, about half the people were like, oh, there goes Jackson Mahomes again. And the other half were like, why isn't he being arrested? Well, they got him. They got him. He was arrested. I believe there is a mugshot now. Yeah, let's see it. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
There he is. There he is.
Is that the woman?
That is the woman. Yeah.
Can you play that? Can we play that clip? I have no idea.
There's no nudity, but I don't know if you want to play essay on.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like.
That is not, and so I think that maybe that's why Disney is changing the lyrics to "Kiss the Girl" because they saw Jackson Mahomes doing this.
Like that.
Yeah, like, Disney was like, "Look, we were gonna leave it in there.
Yeah.
Then we saw Jackson Mahomes at the bar, and we're like, I think we got to change it, guys."
Well, I didn't read too much on the charges. Well, I mean, the charges
we got
in
a $20 one right there
Alrighty.
from Francisco Sanchez Jr.
Francisco Sanchez Jr. says, just like John Carpenter's The Thing is my favorite second movie of all time. This version of second favorite movie of all time. This version of PCC is my second favorite PCC of all time.
Well, then,
cheers.
Well, then, what is the first favorite PCC of all time? The 200th episode, 300th episode.
Oh, I remember the 200th. That one was good. Maybe the one where Serge should cut his hair.
300.
I think that was.
That was 300.
Yeah,
that was 300.
Oh, okay.
That was 300.
Well, thank you for the super chat, man. I'm glad to be in your second best.
I would be interested to know what the people in the chat think of this video.
Dude, it's bad, man.
It's all up interpersonal
It's bad, and it's like, I remember the, I don't know if you guys do remember this, but there was a few years ago, there was this kid, maybe in Florida, maybe in Texas, I can't remember. He basically went out drunk driving, 3 of his friends dead, crashed the car, dead. His defense was affluenza.
Yeah,
it was, I'm too rich to know better. Yep. And I think this is what we're going to see with freaking Jackson Mahomes here. Yep. And I think there is a little bit of truth to the he's too rich to know better. He went from being 15 to living in this millionaire lifestyle with one of the most famous athletes in the world, so it's like he needs a reality check, and maybe a few nights in jail will be that reality check. But you can't just do this stuff. Like, I don't care what your status is.
Well, I mean, they can. That's the problem. They get away with it all the time. That's the problem. There's like what you're saying is the hope. The reality is oftentimes very different.
He has no prior relationship to this woman. Just a random woman.
I'm pretty sure she's just a random woman. Maybe
the owner alleged that Jackson seemed intoxicated earlier in the night and claims he shoved a male member of her wait staff.
Yeah, dude, there's no... Yeah, I was going to say, he's 22. This woman is 40.
Oof.
I doubt they were running around together.
Okay.
But he has a history of doing this, just getting way too loaded at his brother's events. And by events, I mean football games. But it's just like... Dude, know your place. But shame on Patrick, dude. Why do you keep inviting him around, man? You know he's bad news.
So it says, our investigation has revealed substantial evidence refuting the claims of Jackson's accuser, including the statements of several witnesses. We have reached out to law enforcement to provide the fruit of our investigation so that they may have a complete picture of the matter. The incident appears to have been caught on surveillance video and has been under police investigation since March.
Yeah, dude, there's no refuting that video. It's one thing if you tried to lean in for a kiss and got rejected, but he was basically had her in a chokehold, like not letting her go anywhere.
In the chat, somebody said chokehold the girl.
Oh my God.
So they watched the Mahomes version of the Little Mermaid.
But here we go in the bottom paragraph. It's not the first time Jackson has found himself embroiled in controversy. He also faced backlash for dumping water on Baltimore Ravens fans at a game, doing a TikTok dance over Washington's memorial for Sean Taylor, who, if you don't know Sean Taylor, he star football player, was killed by a home invasion. This was maybe 10, 15 years ago at this point. It was so sad, man. I still remember because I grew up in the Washington football area. So I still remember we actually did a moment of silence in our school when that happened. Tragic. But yeah, like this kid is just not a good person, man. And he needs a wake-up call.
I think affluenza is a very much a real thing, too, that people don't realize ends up stunting the growth of a lot of young people from families of extreme wealth. Just look at how Jaden Smith acts. When Jaden Smith talks, you can literally feel the money making him dumber. Like by trying to sound smarter, he sounds infinitely dumber.
Yeah.
And it always feels like that's the type of personality that money allows you to have. That you can't have that personality in the real world if you have to work a real job, something like this. And for someone like him here, that behavior is something he's been allowed to get away with because his family has money, and that allows him the ability to do that.
The worst part is Patrick, the older brother that actually is the football player. He's been pretty clean, man. There's most of the time these star football players are going to have one controversy or another, but for the most part, he smells fresher than a basket of roses, right?
Which is very hard to do in football. It's
very hard to do, especially at that status. And anyways, so his brother's kind of ruining it for him. And if I was Patrick, I know he's your brother. Who
is it that got caught with the gun in the back seat?
Oh, John Morant.
Yeah.
Well, it's happened to a few people. Ray Lewis killed a woman.
John Morant was the most recent one.
Henry Ruggs was just sentenced. He was going like 110 miles an hour in his sports car and killed a woman. This was like a year or two ago.
Did you ever see the show Ballers?
So there's a lot of controversy in the league.
Did you ever see the show Ballers?
I have not.
You should watch Ballers.
Is it good?
Yes.
That's
with The Rock.
The Rock? Yeah.
It's really, really, really good.
Okay. Was it HBO?
I don't know which network it was on. When I watched it, it was on BitTorrent. That was a long time. Long time ago. Time ago. But it was on BitTorrent.
Back in the day.
Back in my day, it was. I found it while I was out perusing the high seas. It was a different time. It's sad too because I can't do that anymore because I would feel wrong doing that at work.
Yeah.
But like I'm watching stuff like I was reviewing. We reviewed Citadel, or I reviewed Citadel. I literally I was like, Mary, you should watch this show. I got done. I'm like, it's so boring. Just don't even watch it. And I'm like, this is the type of thing where it's like, what the hell am I paying Amazon? Well, Amazon, it's okay because I order a lot of packages from them, so it's like you get your money's worth with that Amazon Prime membership. Because you get enough stuff delivered, it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But if I had watched that show on Netflix, I'd be like, what the hell am I paying you for?
Right.
For this garbage? I'm not paying you for this garbage.
I see it. This is not a super chat, but someone said Ben Roethlisberger of the Pittsburgh Steelers had sexual assault allegations. He did.
Michael Vick?
He did. Michael Vick, dogfighting. Did he have SA allegations as well?
No, just dogfighting.
And that's the issue that, this is not a defense of those acts, but in a world where there's cameras everywhere, in your pocket, on every corner of a room that you're in.
And you're in a nightclub. There's going to be cameras.
Yeah.
We just had all the stuff come out about Jonathan Majors had the lady got caught at a bar with champagne with her supposedly broken finger, which I still maintain doesn't prove anything. I've done plenty of stuff with broken fingers before. You can, if you're depressed enough, you can pick up a bottle of alcohol with a broken finger. Trust me.
There was even a video of football player Zach Stacy. He's now in prison. Just absolutely he beat his wife. I mean, I'm not gonna that's the only way I can really say it. And the video is just brutal because you have this guy who's like 300 pounds and built. Yeah. And a woman who's not.
I think I saw that video.
Dude, it's so sad. Yeah. It's so sad, and so, we can't let stuff like this slide. A lot of times the NFL is pretty good about it. Some people complain that the NFL is too harsh when taking actions against its players.
Too harsh?
Too harsh? Well, because Calvin Ridley of the Atlanta Falcons, he is not on the Atlanta, he's on Jacksonville Jaguars now. He got suspended for a year for illegal gambling, even though, not illegal, but gambling on a game in the NFL, even though he wasn't playing. So anyways, if the NFL, they should make a statement here. If not the NFL, the Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes should make a statement here. Just know that your brother's actions have been problematic and they're getting worse. He needs an intervention.
They're saying I said just dogfighting. I'm just saying that he only had those accusations. As far as I know, I don't think he had he had that conviction. He didn't have anything else against him, right?
Yeah, I mean, and we're probably missing a few other big stories. Yeah. It's just sad that what kind of money does to athletes, And
Michael Vick ended up getting to play again, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's freaking crazy.
And he played very well. He was exciting when he came back. It was fun to watch.
Should he have been allowed back in the league?
Yeah.
No, dude.
Yeah, he served his time. He went to prison for 2 years. It's not like he was on house arrest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he went to prison for 2 years. And it's like, so, I mean, we're gonna get into the more like philosophy of it, but what's the point of having a prison sentence if you're gonna completely reject someone from society afterwards?
Yeah.
You know, IRL talked about gun rights
he
for
did a bunch of
felons.
restitution with like shelters and stuff, if I remember correctly, or something like that.
Right. And whether or not he was doing it because PR was like, this will look great, you got to do this. Well, you know what? Whatever. The end result is still positive. Dogs got helped after the fact. So, you know, I listen, Jackson Mahomes shouldn't be canceled for the rest of his life, but he's going to need to apologize. He's going to need to own up. He's going to need to grow up. And then, you know, we'll go from there. But that's just the thing. He's a nobody, though. He just keeps getting to these outlandish behaviors, and that's, you know, why people are talking about him.
Yeah.
He needs to just stop. Patrick needs to denounce it.
Man, I wish I was into football so I knew what the hell you guys were talking about.
All right. I got one more thing
fun,
to
man.
update you guys on. The box office projections for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 are still going down, ladies and gentlemen. They are not looking good for them right now. It was originally said to be about 120 to 155 million. It is now dropped all the way down. It was 120 to 155 million at the high end. Now they're saying just 110 million to 130 million at the high end, which is not good.
This one's out already?
No, it's out tomorrow.
Oh, why? I thought Guardians 2 was a pretty good success. I'm sorry, I missed like the controversy with this one.
I don't know if it is controversy. I don't know if it's just James Gunn's not there anymore. Marvel, like you said, people are kind of over Marvel right now.
Right.
Like, is there any real excitement for any Marvel property? Like, the most exciting thing going on is wondering what the hell's going to happen with Jonathan Majors, whether they're going to actually keep him on as Kang or if he's going to going to jail.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I enjoyed the last two Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dude, I don't
movie.
even remember the last Guardian. That's how long it's been.
It was with it was another main actor who basically
Michael Rooker?
was that his name?
That's the guy who played the Blue
Basically, his dad was God. Is kind of what I got from it.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Like, I found the first Guardians fine. The second one, it was so long ago, I don't even remember it.
I will say though, they've had some of the best movie soundtracks in a while for any movie, not just
you
superhero
could
genres.
you could have that just by going and visiting an old person's record collection. That's all it is.
Hey, don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Do what works.
All right. Let us get started, guys. First, I do want to do cute of the day. I've got some cute of the day. I've decided against cringe of the day today.
Oh, man.
I've been over it. Cringe of the day is too depressing
Jackson
sometimes.
Mahomes is cringy
That's
enough,
plenty. That's plenty cringy. All right, let's do cute of the day, shall we? We've got a couple here from you guys. This is from Name Cannot Be Blank on Twitter. It says PCC Pets and Brett, Gizmo, age 12, the Chihuahua, and Bo Jest, age 11, the cat. They never miss an episode. Gizmo's heart is Mary's. Gizmo's heart's Mary's. Keep up the great work. Watch you guys every day and enjoy the topics and the banter.
Oh.
Did I show? I don't remember if I showed. Oh my gosh, it's just posing. That's amazing. I thought I might have showed this one already. Maybe I didn't. That is an amazing. Is that a turtle down there? Looks like he's beating.
It looks like a turtle, but it also looks like Adventure Time.
There's a $20 one right there from
$20 super chat from Gabby Hayes. Kurt Russell played Ego.
Yes, that's correct.
Kurt Russell. There we go.
Not Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
I knew who you were.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Not really, but kind of. They're like what? They got to be 10, 15 years apart in age.
Am I thinking of the same person? They kind of look
Jeff
alike.
Bridges is getting old. Like Jeff Bridges has got to be older. Can you look that up, Jamie?
Yep.
Pull that up. Who's older?
Jeff Bridges is 73 years old.
And how old is Kurt Russell? I bet he's in his mid-60s.
Kurt Russell is 72.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Jeez,
All right.
okay.
All right. So that's the same thing.
Fun fact: Kurt Russell was born on St. Patrick's Day.
All right.
Yeah.
So there is it right there. There is Gizmo, the Chihuahua, and right there is the kitty, and the kitty's name is Bo Jess, and that is an adorable pet right there. Is it not?
I don't really care for cats.
Yeah,
What?
same.
I'm not a cat. I'm a dog. I've been meaning to put my dog on this thing. What's the hashtag?
PCC Pets.
PCC Pets.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do it right now.
Do it right now. We'll bring it up tomorrow. Crisis Party.
Yeah.
I still don't know why it beeps out the first F word but leaves the second one. It's from the same clip. Doesn't make any sense.
Let's not take a fucking minute. Let's go again.
All right, we got a couple of other ones here. This is Posy Bear, 3 years old, a Wisconsin-based doggo from George on Twitter. Thank you. That is an adorable dog right there. You're not doing your job over there, buddy.
Let me see. What, me?
No, not you.
Oh, yeah, you got to stack that cash,
He's
bro.
yelling at me.
Yep. So look at George right there. He's looking very contemplative out the window.
I like George.
Have you ever seen that meme where it's like a dog looking off into the sunset, and it says like when your dog eats your philosophy homework? It's amazing.
I love the floppy ears.
Yes. Let's see, we got. Oh,
there you
he
go.
voted. It says it right there. See,
Well,
that's how the election got. Oh wait, I can't.
They just
say
let
that.
anybody
That's
vote
how
now.
that's how stuff happened during the election because that dog. They just let anyone in here. It's like they don't. Who needs to ballot dump when Posy Bear just gets to go in there and say and vote for whoever he wants.
I will say that I think,
Voted. That does not, however, look like a dog to me that votes blue no matter who.
no, that looks like a Ron Paul voter.
He's definitely a Ron Paul voter. He's a Michael Vick voter.
Oh, oof.
No, he's a not Michael Vick
Wow.
voter. He would vote against Michael Vick. What?
Yikes.
Oh, man. All right. Here we go. And this is from Solid Monkey. Here's a cat. Its name is... It doesn't give me a name. This is from Solid Monkey on Twitter.
I think we have to name it. Yeah, it's a cat? What?
It's adorable.
Oh, okay.
It's adorable. It looks like it's napping. I like it.
It's like a parfait.
Yes.
Parfait the cat. That's your cat's name.
Parfait.
You know, if anyone's got a Sphinx cat, they should send it in. Those are some cats that I can get behind.
Keep sending dog pictures.
I mean, dog pictures are cool too, but you know, like the Sphinx cats are awesome.
I gotta make sure I liked all these. Okay, I like that one. I liked that one.
That one looks like Bucko.
Okay. Well, everyone loves Bucko. I posted one of Bucko the other day.
Yeah.
And I think I took the picture of Bucko that's on the.
Did you see that?
The Cascat that's on his Cascat. So I think I took that one.
Did you see that stupid influencer? I don't even know his name, but he was like, "I bought a baby tiger today. What did you do?"
No.
And I'm like, "Why?"
I mean, I know there was like,
why?
didn't one of the Paul brothers buy like a pig and then have to like sell it, and there was a whole, there was a whole controversy around that. It was like he ended up having to sell it because he couldn't take care of it.
Aww.
And there was a whole thing about like stop influencers buying pets for clout.
Yeah.
Basically, like that's what we need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to get started. So first things first, The Flash is in the news. The movie is coming out very, very soon. And they're running the full court press. Basically, they're trying to protect this movie because they know that Ezra Miller has a lot of bad press right now. And with the movie coming out, they need to protect it and get it out there with as little controversy as possible, which is why they keep showing clips of Michael Keaton. They keep showing clips of Ben Affleck. There's another cameo. Do you guys want me to spoil the other cameo that they're talking about in this movie that's in there?
For which movie?
For the Flash movie.
Oh, I don't care, dude.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Chat, I'm going to spoil something that's
We need a
apparently in the movie.
spoiler alert sound effect.
I do. That would be very good.
Beep, beep, beep,
So
beep.
apparently there's a cameo of Nicolas Cage as Superman from his Superman movie that didn't come out.
Yep.
I love Nick. Did you ever watch Pig? The Nicolas Cage movie where someone steals his pig. It's like so good. I love it so much.
All right, so guys, this is a movie that's being marketed on cameos and member berries because what they're trying to do is they're trying to distract from the fact that Ezra Miller literally went on like a 1.5 year long terror campaign where he was basically the U.S. government when we're in search of oil, right? He's just pounding down doors. He's taking people out. Okay, maybe not that bad, but
dude, it was pretty bad. Makes Jackson Mahomes look a little bit more tame.
Yeah, right. Like, so it says
it was pretty bad.
The idea here that they're going to be able to like weave their way around it. Do you think it's going to matter? My honest opinion, I don't think it ends up. If this movie fails, it's going to fail because nobody gives a crap about DC movies right now because they're not making good movies. It's not going to fail because Ezra Miller's a horrible person. He is a horrible person. It's just I don't think the average moviegoer knows or cares.
Yeah. Well, it's like 3 strikes you're out, right?
Yeah.
Superhero fatigue. First strike. Second strike is Ezra Miller. I'd argue the third strike is The Flash is just really meh in general. And I was watching the SNL skit of Superman's funeral, and Adam Sandler plays The Flash, and he's like, I'm all right, you know, all I can do is run fast, and Superman could run as fast as me, even though he never did. And I'm like, yeah, he has a point. You know, there's a weird inequality, I guess, between superhero powers, and it's like the Flash, all he can do is run fast, yet somehow he's up there with Batman and Superman and Lex Luthor and everything, and it doesn't make sense to me.
The other thing about this is that they're doing the full court press where all the people involved in the movie now have to pretend like everything's okay. It says, talking to CBC, Osterberry, this is the production designer, Paul Osterberry, says Ezra Miller did such a superb job, people will forget all the negative press the actor accumulated in the last couple of years. He stressed Miller's dedication and professionalism while being under, quote, a lot of pressure. Osterberry pointed out Miller had to play 2 different versions of the character. He's non-binary. That should be fine. He can do that anyways.
Oh my God.
Right?
That's awesome.
Right? Like he's like, I don't think identity is, I don't think having a complicated identity is something that's difficult for Miller to do.
What if he's it's just a scene with him, but it's 2 characters, and it's him, and the one character, and they, them for the other character, and he's just talking to himself.
And there's a she, her in another room.
He looks in a mirror, and it's a she, her.
With the long hair. It says he pointed out Miller had to play 2 different versions of the character, switching roles every few days. I mean, he was going through like what was essentially a psychotic break anyways. Yeah. Maybe that's what led to all of this.
Business as usual.
Yeah. It says he only had 3 days off during the entire shoot. They filmed 6 days a week and spent 1 in stunt rehearsals. It's been reported that Miller did their own stunts. I'm so annoyed that they're like, even me can't stand them respecting pronouns of a dude who chokeslams women.
Do you know how hard these things are to read and report on?
Yeah.
With the they that like
$7.
$20 one right
$7.
there.
Alrighty.
Shane H.
I can't see the name. I gotta go to YouTube.
Shane H. Wilder.
Shane H. Wilder. Guardians was good. It would have been better if they kept the it separated from the rest of the MCU instead of shoehorning it in. Also, I could go into the 1,000 some odd record, and I have and build a Guardians soundtrack.
There you go.
Based.
Yeah.
What's your favorite soundtrack of all time? Movie soundtrack of all time?
That's tough.
High Fidelity, 2000.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have one, man. I really don't. I mean, I would argue that Tarantino's movies always have a good soundtrack, but I don't know if I have a favorite.
For me, it's either American Gangster or Scream 1.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
both of those.
Right.
Red Right Hand.
Yeah, I'm just
Whisper
not.
to a
I
Scream.
usually don't listen to movie soundtracks, to be
There's
honest.
a $20 one right there from Clef the Misfit.
Clef, the Misfit. I don't know much about Barry Allen because my Flash is Wally West, but I always found Flash's appeal in the DCAU being in his goofiness and heart, being the goodest boy in the Justice League. Yeah, but isn't that Beast Boy of Teen Titans? Like, we don't need another teenage superhero.
No,
I get it. I like it.
You're not seeing. But you're not seeing Beast Boy in contrast with Batman as much. So like there is something to be said where when he interacts with the other heroes, there's a kind of heart. Like there's a heart to it that I like.
So this isn't a $20 super chat, but Gabby said Flash is up there for good reasons. I'd love to explain why. One easy point is time travel, which Superman can't do. He can time travel?
Yes.
How?
Flashpoint paradox.
What is that?
He can go back in time.
Just because he's running so fast?
Yeah, like he can change the timeline. That's where the Flashpoint paradox comes from. And I think a lot of what they're going to be doing with this film is they're going to be using that old Flashpoint storyline as a way to reset the universe so that they can put in their own actors. Now, somebody else also pointed out earlier, it is fair to say that they're using this time now to get rid of all the heroes people like, i.e. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. They're getting obviously Henry Cavill as Superman. Everyone likes Henry Cavill as Superman, even if they don't like the movies he's in, which is actually, if anything, a testament to him more than anything, that your love for him as that character can withstand these movies that people don't like.
Well, okay, so I'm torn on this because I kind of do want them to like kind of hit the reset button, but at the same time, when after the first event,
they have to hit. I'm sorry, but they have to hit. As much as I love Henry Cavill as Superman and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, they have to reset.
So the only reason I'd be opposed to that is after the first Avengers movie, not the first Avengers, but the first part of Endgame, whatever, right? He does the snap and half the superheroes die, right? I was stoked. I like not
you
to
didn't
sound.
actually think that was going to stick.
I did.
Oh my gosh.
I did, and then this next movie
buddy.
comes out, and they're like, "Oh, let's just go back in time and save everyone."
That was never
And I'm
going
like,
to stick.
dude, why? I'm like, because I've said this before. I don't know if I've said it to you, Brett, but there is not enough movies where they just kill off a main character. There's too many happy endings in Hollywood, and I'm just like, it's not that it's wrong to have a happy ending, but some movies are fantastic because they don't. You know, they either leave you wondering or it's dark and it's sad, you know, and that makes for good cinema just as much as a happy ending does.
I have this exact argument about Rocky, how he doesn't win the first fight.
Yeah.
My best friend is like, he doesn't win. It's not a good movie. I'm like, that's not the point.
That's
dude.
so not. That's like literally the opposite of the point. Like,
the point was his relationship with Adrian, the fact that he went the distance. Like, my guy, the fight.
if anything, that's a testament to the strength of the storytelling at that time.
Yeah.
That you didn't need the win at the end.
Exactly.
It's funny too. That's actually in the underrated baseball classic Little Big League, starring. Well, actually, I can. Usually, I can tell you who's starring in the movie. I can't remember the name of the young actor off the top of my head. It's got Jonathan Silverman in it. I remember that. But in that movie, in Little Big League, they don't win the game at the end. They lose.
Yeah.
They don't end up winning. So that's like Ken Griffey Jr. snatches victory. He snatches their victory out of the palm of his hand by catching a would-be home run off of the lead character. And that's like, but the point is that the kid made it all the way. He took a team from basically last place to first place, or like not even last place to first place. He took them from last place to a wild card game where they made all of this improvement, and it became more about his journey as a manager and not about them winning.
Yep.
Right. Also, to point out one of the funniest things ever, nobody ever points out in the movie Angels in the Outfield that they're just cheating. That they're like they just have help from God, and then God basically
Oh my goodness.
and then he basically comes down to the end. He says, "Well, we'll help you get to the pennant, but we're not going to help you win in the playoffs. That would be ridiculous."
Have you?
Are you kidding me?
reminds
What
me-
do we look like? The bad guy?
It reminds me of the Family Guy episode where Peter's like, you know, I'm just really upset. It's just pissed off because God hates the Patriots and Bill Belichick. And then he goes to God. He's like, why? Why do you always make the Patriots lose? He's like, well, that Bill Belichick guy is kind of a douche.
There you go.
It's a good plot.
Makes perfect sense to me. Look, like that's kind of the beauty of sports movies, right? They don't have to win because it should be about the journey to get there. You know, it's not always about winning. There was just a clip of somebody the other day where they're like, I don't even remember who it was, but they're like, do you view this season as a failure? And he basically said, he goes, every year Michael Jordan played that he didn't win a championship, was that a failure?
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
I think you're thinking of Giannis because he
it was.
went out in the first round. That guy's a class act, man. He's a good guy. And I think that was a captive. You know, too many, you'll see this often, especially the NBA, where these hotheads, emotions are running high, and they lose the game. It's being a sore loser. They lose the game. They refuse to talk to the press. They storm out. We had one player throw a chair at somebody after one game during these playoffs. So, you know, to be able to do that, to know that you're like a favorite for the NBA Finals, to go out in the first round, and then to still get up there and deliver a speech like that.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do.
No, not because when you're competitive, like you get emotional at the end there. It's never easy.
And I think that show is it's a testament to just how great of not only a player he is, but person to be able to do that. You know. So yeah, shout out Giannis. That was a really good press conference, man.
Look, the Flash movie has a budget of $220 million. Which means with marketing, it's $330 million, roughly, give or take. I just don't understand anymore. We just found out recently that like the budgets on both of the last two Jurassic Park movies were actually double what they said they were. So they were like two of the most expensive movies of all time. I just don't understand the point of taking the gamble constantly. It's not like the return on investment.
They don't think it's a gamble.
But it is.
No, because there was 3 Jurassic Park movies in the 90s that were very successful.
But the point is,
so they
here,
think
like,
that means
they're
no
not
problem.
making enough money on the return on investment is not high enough to justify budgets that high.
Yeah, but I don't think they were thinking that. I think they thought this was just a safe play.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we're at home like, why would you do this? This is so obvious. Like, duh.
To me, like what I would like to see done, you don't even have to necessarily, like, these movies are too long. Most of them are going 2.5 hours.
Yes.
Cut these things down to 2 hours, like 2 hours long, right? Last night, I made a post in honor of the writer's strike where I toasted the writer's strike by watching Quantum of Solace, because Quantum of Solace came out during the 2007 writer's strike, and I realized that movie's only an hour and 46 minutes long. It's almost an entire hour shorter than Casino Royale. Everyone hates the movie. I love it. And then people people get mad at me. They're like, that movie's so bad. I'm like, I didn't say it was a good movie. I said I love it.
Yeah.
Right? Like it doesn't have to be a good movie for me to like it. No. Right?
Casino Royale was kind of
I love Casino Royale up until the third act.
I don't know. I felt like I just kept waiting for something to happen, and when something finally did happen, I was like, oh, well, okay.
I love the cinematography on that movie.
Yes, I will give you that.
The cinematography on that movie is fantastic.
It's just not as action-packed as I thought it was going to be.
I mean, it kind of does it in set pieces, right? You've got the one at the airport. You've got first of all, you've got it at the beginning with him in the bathroom with the guy. I guess if you call it, that's action, right? It's him having his first real visceral fight, which was more visceral than a lot of other Bond fights have been in the past, which tend to be more on the campy and suave side. So he has this visceral fight with the dude in that room. Then you have the free running scene, which was like at that time, it's like mid 2000s, and every single movie has a free running scene. Like as some dude hopping from building to building to building to building. Like those dudes were getting work at that time. So you got that long free running scene where he chases the guy down and then shoots him in the embassy. Then you've got him. He comes back. Then after that, you've got, what was the one you were just talking about, the airport scene. And then you have the lull where he does the poker tournament, but you expect that it's the poker tournament. But even there, he fights the guy in the hotel room,
during the intermission
on the stairs, right? And then him and Vesper in the shower, like, because like
maybe that's why.
I think actually what it is, it was better spread out than you're thinking.
Maybe. Well, I was just saying, like Casino Royale, I expected the poker to be like kind of introduced first, and it was almost like it was like the whole second act. Right. I don't know. Yeah. Interesting. I guess creative choice there.
And then also like after the car chase and the car wreck, it feels like the movie's over and there's a whole nother act of them at the hotel and Vesper and all that stuff. It is what it is. I love that movie too. I just think it's a bit long. And the reason I like Quantum of Solace is because it's shorter. So what I'd like to see these people do, shorten these movies by 20, 30 minutes, make them an hour and like there's nothing wrong with a movie being an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours long. If anything, they made them shorten Batman vs. Superman so that they could fit in more screenings per day. So shorten your movies. Make like less time, more screenings, put more of your money into a few really good CGI set pieces rather than this cobbled together garbage that always looks completely all over the place and hard to discern what's going on. And I think that they could do something really, really good there, but they've got this weird hard on for like 2 hour and 20-minute movies.
Well, I will say too, and it's like movies that are really good, you don't look at the clock. You're not paying attention. So
the hardest part is finding a movie these days where you're like, it's like almost over and you're like, wow.
Yeah, because I feel that like maybe not rewatching Tarantino movies, but like a lot of those Tarantino, like Inglourious Bastards or maybe not Hateful Eight, but Pulp Fiction definitely. Those are long movies. Yeah, they're not short movies, but it's like. Even if you're like, you do look at the clock, you're like, oh, wow, very well. Yeah. And it's also, he keeps you engaged. There's nothing that's boring. Everything what is that rule that if something is, like if you see a prop in one scene, it better be used.
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. So he does that very well.
Yes.
There's nothing that is pointless, you know.
If you see a watch in one scene, it's going to
come back.
It's not as bad as when somebody gives a spontaneous like profession of like, oh, I'm so happy for like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just so happy. I'm like, well, that guy's gonna die. Yeah. They always end up dying, right? Or anytime a secondary character starts getting just a little bit too much screen time in a TV show, you know that they're about to they're going.
Oh, that just happened with I don't want to spoil it, but because I want you to watch the show, but Only Murders in the Building that I was watching on Hulu. So the first season is pretty good. I'd recommend it. But Yeah, that phenomenon definitely happens.
Yep. B Hammer in the chat says Heat is almost 3 hours long, but it goes by fast. I actually agree, and I didn't used to agree. Heat used to be, as much as it is my favorite movie of all time, I still consider it to be my favorite movie of all time. It goes back and forth between that, American Gangster, and a couple of other ones. But that, Collateral, I always remembered in the past when I was young when I saw that movie. I don't know if you guys have seen Heat, the movie Heat.
I watched it, but I kind of was of the opinion it was a little long for me.
Okay, so here's the like when I first watched it when I was younger, it was one of those things where it's like you're young and it feels like the bank heist is the natural conclusion to the movie. But it's not. It's barely the end of the second act, right? Mm. So there's a whole wealth of stuff that happens after that movie that once you get older and you appreciate that they're tying up these storylines, it goes by much faster. But when I was younger, it was like my brain couldn't quite comprehend. I was like, I love this movie, but it always felt like that third act was tacked on. It doesn't feel that way. I bet you if you rewatched it now, you'd feel about it differently.
That's why I know this is going to be a hot take. That's why I don't like the Lord of the Ring movies.
Ooh. Oh, thank you. My God,
Chat,
people give me so much crap. I don't care. Come for me. Better come for him too.
Dude, first
Chat,
of all,
get him.
I'm not the biggest for the average watcher of movies. I'm not a super
based on spectacle alone. They deserve to be.
I'm not super well versed on the whole fantasy kind of stuff, and so then to make it 3.5 hours. Of something that I'm
do you know how many people
about at best?
I criticized the movie that it was 3 hours and it was boring, and they're like, okay, I know. You got to watch the 4-hour extended version. I'm like, no, I'm not watching another hour.
And this is why Game of Thrones worked, because for someone who doesn't necessarily like the fantasy stuff, you get 45 minutes. I can digest that and take a break from it and then come back for episode 2.
That is like the highest take ever. I'm sorry.
The Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's
I apologize for nothing.
They're too long.
High five, dude.
They're too long.
Thank you.
All right, guys, the Flash movie, we'll see where it goes. I think that if it fails, and I do think that it'll make its money back, it'll do fine, but it's not going to be overly successful unless I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but if it does fail, it's going to fail because people just don't seem to give a crap about DC movies these days, and superhero movies in general aren't really exciting people. If it makes money, it's not making money because of Ezra Miller. It's making money because Michael Keaton is in it, and it's making money because Ben Affleck is coming back.
What a fall from grace. I saw the Michael Keaton, and I'm of the Eric July opinion that it is kind of like cheap, but I still kind of enjoy the fact that they're bringing back older stuff. I'm in between, but just to see the Michael Keaton thing, and then it's kind of like wasted on the Flash.
Well, I mean, it's telling that they would use it for the promotional material and not save it for the movie, right? Like if depending on, obviously we haven't seen it yet, but if we go and watch it and the majority of Keaton's appearance is those scenes, then you know that they had no confidence in the movie because they wasted it all to get the promo out of the way.
Well, it's kind of like with the Spider-Man ones where they had the villains come back. It was hinting that they might have the Spider-Man actors,
but they saved it.
Well,
and the thing is, Sony wanted to release it. Sony wanted to put that out there, and Marvel's like, we're not doing that. We're saving those cameos. Or I might have that backwards. Somebody in the chat can correct me. I believe it was Sony wanted to advertise with the actors, and Marvel's like, no, this is too good. We'll hold on to it. And they did the same thing. I think the Daredevil cameo got leaked. The cameo of Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Forgot about that.
As Matt Murdock. So. Right. All right, guys. We got some super chats there, do we not?
Yes, we do. All righty. Andrew Jacobs says, Mary, my bad. Starbucks hot chocolate is the best. Mary, that's... Yeah, Andrew Jacobs is saying hot chocolate's good.
Where's the candle?
She agrees.
She nods in the corner. Gabby Hayes says, have Lords Kellen and Bert been replaced? Cloned? Bloody hell, guys. By the way, I don't give a beep about Ezra. I want to see my favorite two beepin' Batmen on the beepin' screen. That's it. Beep. Clef the Misfit says, finishing my leg tattoo sleeve as I watch PCC today.
Nice.
Thank you for helping me helping distract me from the pain.
Wait,
send a photo of the tattoo, man.
Are you like at a tattoo, are you like getting it done in a shop and like you're watching it on your phone? It'd be cool if it was on the screen at the shop.
Yeah.
on like on like a TV.
The
at
tattoo
shop.
shop that I used to go to, they would play Star Wars and stuff. They were like real, it was awesome. Star Wars.
Like we just got done with It's Gonna Be May and all the memes. And now we've got May the 4th be with you tomorrow.
Oh,
which one's Super Mario Day?
March 10th. MAR 10.
Wow, they're all okay. So March, not May. So I was like, dang, they're all like in like a 2 month in a 2 month period.
Isaac Martinez says at least K dramas are going strong. No WGA for them.
Writers Guild of America. And we're gonna be talking about a little bit about that next.
Darth Doza says woohoo. Class canceled, so I get to catch you live. Great panel today. Brett, the hat is always great.
What hat am I wearing today? Oh, yeah. Like I finally
It's the Chicago Timberwolves.
It's the Minnesota Bulls. People, I get a fair amount of questions about the hats, and I like to tell people, people think that they're just random teams, but they're all...
They kind of are.
No, they're not. They're not. There's a method to my madness on all of it. They're all either Twins, Seattle Mariners, the reason for Seattle being that I love Ken Griffey Jr., so there's a reason to it. And all of the other ones that are not, the fitted hats are all Minnesota baseball minor league teams. So they're teams that end up being farm teams for Minnesota Twins.
Okay.
So the Rochester Red Wings, the St. Paul Saints, and the Fort Myers Mighty Muscles.
Do you watch baseball?
I watch. I mostly watch. I don't have time these days. I watch John Boy. I still keep up with baseball.
We'll have to go out to a Nationals game. Nats Park is really nice.
I almost bought a Nationals hat at one point. I was like, I'm a resident here now.
Just catch one in the stands.
Nah, I'm not doing that.
Just catch one when they throw them into the stands.
I'm not doing that.
Gabby Hayes.
2 more, and then we will move on.
2 more. There's okay.
Gabby Hayes.
Brett, do you know if they're actually doing The Crow with Skarsgård or Momoa? Rest in peace, Brandon Lee. By the way, Kellen is giving off subplot Bond villain vibes.
Maybe Rami Malek days.
Did you see that? Someone was like, I can't believe they're having a white guy play an Egyptian character, and it was Rami Malek, and they were like, he is Egyptian.
He's literally Egyptian. Yeah, there's some Bond villain. You'd have to have a British accent though if you were gonna do that.
Yeah, I don't have one.
And as for, they are still doing Skarsgård in the Crow, as far as I know. There haven't been any updates on that in a while. As far as I know, his wife's in that with him. So he's married to FKA Twigs, I think.
Oh, is he? Huh.
I think I could maybe.
They're gonna have some weird-looking kids. They're both really bug-eyed.
Maybe it'll like reverse itself.
Maybe, right. Cancel each other out.
The kids will be then normal. Normal-eyed.
Chubbs' Farman says no Mary equals PCC gets Harry.
Fair enough.
That's true. I'm going to read this last one since it was the first story. It's over 9,000. Says 20 years from now, Patrick Mahomes will be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and during his speech, either his wife or brother will say or do something very stupid and be asked to leave. I agree. Yeah. You're going to see his brother get up and do a TikTok dance as you've got all these 80-year-old Hall of Famers that are just struggling to even be there.
He's like and it'll be somehow more embarrassing because of how old he'll be at the time.
Yeah. Try to do those stupid dances.
All right, guys, we are moving on.
Use the bathroom.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on for a minute here, guys. Writer's strike. I want to talk about Adam Conover. Have you ever seen Adam Ruins Everything?
Yeah. He ruins everything.
He does, doesn't he?
Really does.
He does. Yeah. So Adam Conover calls out David Zaslav's $250 million salary on air at CNN. Boo-hoo, I say. I'm sorry. Boo-hoo, I say. What do you want me to do? The dude makes a lot of money, right? So he says, David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, the parent company of the network I'm talking to you on right now, because CNN is owned by Warner Media. The funniest part being that as soon as Zaslav took over, he took an axe to CNN Plus. He's the one who's just like, that's not going to make anybody. Nobody wants CNN Plus. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Did you ever watch? It was there for a day, right?
I watched the rise and subsequent downfall in a day.
Of less than a day of CNN Plus. What were the shows?
Oh, they launched, what was his name? Chris Wallace. He moved from Fox News to CNN, and it was supposed to launch his career with CNN. Yeah. And then it just fell flat. Nothing. Well,
and that's what I think Adam gets wrong here is that he makes the point where he says these networks are making tons of money. I'm like, no, they're not. No. They're not making, they're cutting budgets constantly. Yeah. That's the thing. So he says David Zaslav, I'll start over here. David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, the parent company of the network I'm talking to you on right now, was paid $250 million last year, $250 million. Well, I wonder what the government took of it in taxes, right? Conover said during his interview on CNN, that's about the same level as 10,000 writers are asking him to pay all of us collectively. So David Zaslav is worth 10,000 writers. Seems about right?
Yeah.
So like the thing that I thought of when I saw this was like, first, like, look, could David Zaslav do your job, or could you do David Zaslav's job? Like, which one is more likely to succeed at doing the other's job? My guess is that if we were to take David Zaslav and be like, look, you can use ChatGPT, and I think David Zaslav would be able to write a hit television show before these people would be able to run a company successfully.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Yes. I've
Thoughts,
seen it.
Skellen?
On David Zaslav?
Yes.
No, I have no thoughts on David Zaslav, but I could do both jobs at the same time.
Yeah.
I've seen the ChatGPT thing, like write an article.
Yeah.
All you did was like prompt it with certain things.
Yeah.
And it pulled up a whole article. Now, somebody who's not really well versed in like writing and how language works, they're not going to pick this stuff out. But I know personally, like reading through what ChatGPT puts out, I'm like, okay, it's good for what it is. It's shocking. But also there's like little things that like, okay, people don't talk like that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, but I mean,
I was just
leftists don't talk like human beings on Twitter anyways.
Well, they put out terrible scripts anyway.
One of my biggest problems is that everybody who talks on Twitter, I'm like, nobody talks like that in the real world.
Well,
yeah.
There's a snark to the way people talk on Twitter.
Yes.
That is not how human beings actually talk.
Well, here's the other thing, though. You know, like Shane Cashman, shout out Shane Cashman, another writer at timcast.com.
Yep.
You know, a lot of times his work is very long, right? Very verbose, lots of words. And it's like, it's a particular style that he's, you know, created and crafted on his own. I'm sure he's had inspiration. But ChatGPT, it's going to be the same flavor. Like if ChatGPT is vanilla, you're not going to get strawberry.
ChatGPT to write in the tone of somebody who writes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's you're not going to, the humanity is going to be missing. Like Shane's work, even your work, like, right, we know it, like it changes slightly depending on the article. You guys, there's just an X factor that will not exist when you have robots doing it.
Well, I mean, in Hollywood, I don't know if that X factor even exists these days. And I'm just putting it this way: if you gave David Zaslav a writing job, he would find a way to like farm out the work and get it done and make it work before you would be able to make the connections. Like, there's a lot that goes into being a CEO beyond just being in charge. Not to mention the pressure of having all those people's jobs on the line and having to be the bad guy when you cut jobs. Like, that's the thing. They're cutting thousands of jobs right now. So he's incorrect in this article where he says these companies their profits are going up. It's ridiculous of them to plead poverty. I found this old article. Warner Brothers Discovery continues to lose money despite the success of The Last of Us and Hogwarts Legacy. They're cutting jobs. When David Zaslav took over, he was tasked with basically eliminating $5 billion worth of overhead. Yeah. So he had to, like, that's why Batgirl is getting canceled. That's why TV shows are getting canceled.
Who was the writer that used to just get absolutely plastered before you would write? Like,
me? I'm kidding. I don't.
No, I can't remember. Joe Rogan brings him up all the time.
Damn it! I know exactly who you're talking about. I can't think now.
But anyway,
worst thing in the
Hunter S. Thompson.
Hunter S. Thompson, right? So, like, his work would change depending on how much he drank, what he drank, his mood, like whatever. It's like ChatGPT. I refuse to believe, like, even if you're like, all right, act like a guy who's had 6 drinks at 2 a.m. on a Thursday night while it's raining, right? In that style, it's not going to be the same, right? It's not going to be the same. There's synapses firing in your brain that ChatGPT just doesn't have. ChatGPT is only 2 + 2 = 4, where humans, you know, as crazy it is, you're going to get 2 + 2 = 5 sometimes. Yeah. You know, it doesn't make sense, but that's just it. Humans, the art behind humans and our creativity is that it doesn't always make sense.
I don't think that these people actually, they separate themselves into the haves and the have-nots, and they really do believe that there's going to be some type of equitable outcome to all this. It's why it's always hilarious to me when the actors pay lip service to this stuff, because the actors are the haves and the writers oftentimes are the have-nots, which is why so much of the art is made into propaganda about equity. And they want that. So them shouting this stuff out now isn't actually all that hard to believe. And a lot of people don't even know if we're really going to notice this writer's strike, because so many of these shows have been written out in advance anyways, and they're going to go and be made on streaming. They don't need the writers now because the shows have already been written and sold. And you just can't expect somebody like David Zaslav to what? Is he supposed to sacrifice his contract so that he can pay these people for shows that nobody's buying or watching? That think about it. Like, think of all the shows that you'd consider hits in the last year. So we've got The Last of Us, we've got Dahmer, we've got Wednesday. What else was a big hit?
Dahmer got big.
What else was a big show that you would find to be culturally significant in the last year?
Well, not the last year, but Squid Games.
Okay, Squid Games. That was 2021, I believe.
Yeah.
Other thoughts? Other shows that have been chat? What else? What other shows
actually,
would you say?
There's one that's coming out right now, and I didn't realize. I was telling you about it yesterday, Brett. So there's The First Light, I believe it's called, and it's talking about it's the Anne Frank story, but it's not about Anne Frank.
But I want to talk about
that's
shows
really good, and it's coming out right now.
Yeah, but that's good is not relevant in this discussion. Good, there's probably 1,000 shows that are good. Whether they actually resonate with people is what matters, and what we need to focus on is what people are actually willing to watch.
Oh, She-Hulk.
Oh, yes. Okay. So Better Call Saul, Better Call Saul did well, but I don't know if I would call it a cultural milestone.
Not like Breaking Bad.
Not like okay. Then how about this? Then you'd add House of the Dragon was popular.
That's true.
It was popular.
House of the Dragon did better over time than Rings of Power did.
Okay.
It grew an audience, so that actually sustained on its level of writing. So that's like what, 5 or 6 shows total in a whole year. Think about how much garbage is dumped onto these streaming services every single day.
Yeah.
New shows all the time that you've never heard of, that no one has ever watched, and they're complaining that they're not going to make the same amount as the people that are actually excelling in their field.
Yeah.
That's not realistic.
No.
Yeah.
You can't expect that. But the problem is we've developed a weird type of utopian society. Yes, see, decoy voice. Yeah, decoy voice. What up? He's right. House of the Dragon. There's only so many shows that are actually going to be culturally relevant each and every year. Have there been any network television shows that feel that way?
I have no idea,
There's
bro.
been some that are good.
Yeah.
Like Tulsa King. But it's like, I don't know if it has
Yellowstone. You could put Yellowstone or Tulsa King on that list, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, someone just said Yellowstone.
So Yellowstone. So there's not a whole ton. I wouldn't even put the Terminal List on there, because as much as we loved Terminal List, as much as I loved Terminal List and Reacher,
Rings of Power.
but that didn't succeed. They just released the thing that said that the viewership only.
But are we talking about successful, good, or are we just talking
No,
about
we're talking
getting
about
people
resonated
talking?
and got people to watch it. That you can get people to artificially talk about it by paying these crappy rag outlets to talk about it. Only 37% of the people that watched, I believe it was 37%, only like 37% of the people that started Rings of Power finished Rings of Power. Mm-hmm. Are you supposed to tell me that they deserve the same pay as the people who wrote House of the Dragon, which increased its audience week after week?
Yeah.
I don't buy that. But they believe in this utopian, equitable society where everyone's going to be making the same amount of money, and or at least they say they use the living wage. What does that mean? Yeah. That's different for everyone.
Yep,
that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they're what we're seeing, and they're not realizing, is that if you give everyone a participation trophy, the trophies don't mean anything. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's what it is. It's everyone wants to be like, look how noble and great this particular project is, because their ESG score was so high on the project. It's like, well, dude, cool, but that doesn't make it. Doesn't make people want to watch it necessarily. Yeah. I hope that Tarantino is supposed to. I've brought him up a lot today, but I think he's one of the last few great original storytellers that we have that's still making stuff. He's got one more movie coming out, and I think he's going to then start producing TV shows. It could be 10 years before we see anything from him, but at least there's that to look forward to.
Culture Critic says, why wouldn't you put Terminal List on that list? Because I think it did well, but I think it did well in a subsect of the population, which is like the
Peaky Blinders is good.
But again, I'm talking about the ones that really, really moved numbers at these networks that were part of a larger cultural discussion. Wednesday Addams became a cultural phenomenon.
That's
Dahmer
true.
was mentioned by everyone. There was people here that don't watch TV that were watching Dahmer. Is
that because of the writing, or is that just because of how it's a true story? How crazy Jeffrey Dahmer was.
Yeah.
Is that's what I'm curious, because I almost don't want to include Dahmer in the conversation, because it's not that it was a bad show, but it was telling a crazy story that actually happened. So.
I'm tying this back to the writer's ability to sell something to one of these streaming services that actually proves the merit of their work. In the largest cultural sense, I believe that obviously the middle ground there is I love shows like Reacher, I love shows like The Terminal List, but they know their audience. And that audience is very specific, right? They're not looking to court an audience that doesn't want to watch their stuff, nor should they. Yeah. But a show like Wednesday or a show like Squid Games brought in a ton of people that wouldn't normally watch their stuff. Right? So I'm kind of making my point is kind of all over the place on this one. But the point is that there's only so many large scale cultural hits every year that deserve a certain amount of recognition and payment for their work, that deserve to make those
Cocaine
big
Bear.
bucks. What?
Cocaine Bear.
And Cocaine Bear. Yes.
I can't believe I forgot about that one.
Rogan basically talked about that, how you can't have every athlete can't be Michael Jordan.
No, they can't.
No.
Can't.
And nor would the athletes ever want the pay to be that way, because it would, first of all, for the lower athletes wouldn't want it if they want to win a championship, because then no one's incentivized to play better, right?
Exactly.
You're incentivized to make as much money as you can by being the best on top of winning championships. It's merit matters.
Well, that's what that's what I really admired about Tom Brady. A lot of people like him because he is the winningest quarterback in terms of Super Bowls, but he consistently took pay cuts for while he was playing for the New England Patriots, so they could pay other players to help form a great team and win championships. Yep. And it's not that he didn't make money, because he made money, but he could have been making, some years he could have been making twice what he was reeling in. Yeah. And he chose to, and a few players have done this, but he consistently did it. A few players have done it, and that's just, I love that. I love that for a player, because at the end of the day, I mean, to me, that's what the game is about. Yes, you're going to get rich along the way if you're playing professional sports. That's out of the question. You may not be the most rich, right? But you're going to probably be a millionaire after a few seasons in the league. Now, that doesn't go for everyone. Some people are one and done. Some people don't quite make it. But for the most part, if you're starting and you're on national television playing professional sports, you're going to make a lot of money. You're not going to be struggling to pay for a roof over your head or put food on your table. And so I think too many people have now kind of gotten sucked into, I want to be the stardom of being an athlete rather than just the love and pure joy of the game itself. And it's disheartening. I mean, that's, going back to the Jackson Mahomes thing, that's what I like about Patrick Mahomes. He wasn't a first round pick.
Inventing Anna was quite big last year.
Inventing Anna. I don't even heard about that one.
I just decided to take a list of the 10 shows that Collider said were the biggest shows of the year.
Read them off.
And just think about which ones had actual cultural impact, right?
Yeah.
So Inventing Anna, a lot of natural,
I haven't even heard of that
there
one.
was a lot of actual interest in that story, right? So Ozark, but that was already a show for years before that. So I'm looking more for one and dones here. Sandman did very, very well on Netflix.
I don't even know that
Moon
one
Knight is Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that one got, I guess everyone was watching it.
Okay, The Boys. The Boys is another good
already
example.
Established, though.
But still, a show where does that guy deserve? Do the writers of that show deserve to make the same amount of money as somebody who made some show that nobody watched? No.
Yeah.
They the cream rises to the top, right? So
well, in sports, a lot of times
Euphoria.
I'm sure
Euphoria. Yeah,
Euphoria is big, but already established as well. In sports, a lot of times you'll see contracts that they have stipulations that if your team makes it to the playoffs, you'll get a bonus, right? If you throw 15 touchdowns instead of 10, you'll get a bonus, right? And so I'm sure there's similar stipulations in these writers' contracts, and if there's not, there should be. If your show reaches, I don't know.
Well, and they say that's on them for not negotiating better contracts.
Oh, 100%.
Take responsibility.
Well, maybe, and that's why we're having a writer's strike. But I don't know. I'm kind of happy it's happening because, who's watching? Like, I don't know. Chat, tell me, are you any of you guys actually watching those late night comedy shows anymore?
No. Oh, I actually have that. I have something that's really funny too because I have this right here. It says Jimmy Fallon, like people who work for Jimmy Fallon are like calling him out. They're like saying, like, you don't really support the writers' strike. Because it all ends up falling apart when everybody turns their back on one another. Right?
No, and I love when they have guests on that talk about something that they don't want to. It just shows how uncomfortable they are, and it's like, you guys aren't comedy anymore.
People don't realize these jobs are replaceable.
Oh,
you were expendable.
100%.
Well, I mean, all these. I mean, most jobs are right. Like, I do. That's kind of that. Really is just a perfect encompassing of what I was trying to say. Like, it is a lot harder to replace David Zaslav than it is to replace a writer in Hollywood.
Yeah, everyone's saying nope, haven't watched since 2009. Nope. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I haven't watched late night comedy in a decade. Dude, kudos to the writers. It sucks though, because if people are going to start, like, they're not going to go back, humans are creatures of habit. Yep. So with these late night shows shutting down, they're going to find something else to do, and they're not going to go back. And which sucks for the writers, because then you're going to be out of a job. So
Decoy Voice points out, he says, nope, they desperately tried to put The Daily Show after office marathons. Did you see what happened to Sean Hannity's numbers after Tucker got...
Oh, absolutely.
Drop like a rock.
Gutfeld too, and Greg Gutfeld. I don't think he's included on this. I don't think he's impacted by this late night comedy hiatus.
He's not. It's not affecting.
But
him.
even his numbers absolutely tanked. And I was wondering, I'm like, who? I watched an episode or two. And I'm like, who's actually like? It's not funny anymore. Colbert was a little bit funny before he got all political.
Yeah. See, Gutfeld is kind of like that niche boomery audience. He is funny, but it's like I don't see anybody my age that actively tunes in to watch Gutfeld.
Right.
He is funny though.
I'll watch a clip on YouTube or something.
I reposted like something, or I retweeted something the other day. It was the picture of the stereotypical utopian society. It says like society if Conan O'Brien hadn't lost the late show job, the Tonight Show job. It's what it would have been. It's what we'd have been like.
I wonder why Seinfeld never got a late night gig.
I mean, why would he want to?
Yeah, why would he want to?
He'd be. I'd at least.
Dude, why would he want to work 5 days a week?
That's true.
When he's like,
when he spends an hour driving a car, getting coffee.
Like, so I just here's a couple of other things that I saw. Jessica Vaughn on Twitter posted, with inflation raging, the cost of living rising, and AI automation on the horizon, it's harder to contemplate who won't be on strike or suffering mass layoffs within the next 2 years than it is to list who will be inevitably by following the Writers Guild of America, who inevitably will be following the Writers Guild of America. And I really liked what Malcolm Flex said. He said, lots of industries are under the gun at the moment as we've created the perfect storm of increasingly incompetent and entitled workers coupled with technology that has a higher learning curve but can also replace simplistic to sometimes complex functions. That's the point here. What I mean is, like, yes, it's not going to change the best writing. It's not going to be able to replace the best writing or the most complex art, but it will be able to do easier functions.
But I guess this could be a silly question, but the writing, I wouldn't even say is the biggest problem. It's almost like the decision making, right? It's like, because a lot of times they're not making jokes. They're not actually.
It's looking for clapter.
Yep.
So we'll see. But then again, I said it might be a silly question because they might just have AI start making the decisions for them. Like, hey, ChatGPT, analyze the trends for the day. Tell me what people want to listen to, talk about.
Jessica Vaughn also said the robots are coming and the corporatists who will be implementing them don't care about the competency nor the lives of the workers. This is the principle of profit over everything. The robots replacing all of us was always inevitable. There is no derailing it.
She's so cool.
Yeah.
I like her. And shout out to Malcolm Flex too.
Yeah, Malcolm's
Flex
cool.
rules.
Yeah.
Dude's awesome. All right. We got some super chats there, do we not?
All right. Where did we leave off? I think we left off at the Hall of Fame one. All right. So we've got Sketch Therapy says, shout out to Dr. Disrespect in the gray sweater. Yeah.
I'm so glad my cultural reference made sense and that I wasn't just imagining it.
I don't see it, but I'll take it, man. He's cool. Shane H. Wilder says, hey, it's the benevolent overlord Bert and Tony Clifton. So sorry, my bad. Kellen. It's probably good that Mary is out because it looks like they're going to do a Men in Black memory wipe on you, Brett.
Yeah, it could happen.
Yeah, just,
got a pen here.
Boom, done.
And then sing the song, and then sing Men in Black right after that.
Francisco Sanchez, we read that was a $20. Olivia Claire says, Bort.
That's you.
Andrew Jacobs says, Bert. Hi, Brett, Mary, and Kellen. Hey. Andrew Jacobs says, hey.
Hi, Mary.
She waved.
She will be back on Friday, guys.
Carnell says, I live in Kansas City. An overwhelming majority of the city and Chiefs fans completely repulsed at Jackson and his antics. Nobody here likes him. Yeah, his brother's going to have to speak up at this point. If he is, the media's not covering it. I'm not seeing any statements.
Yeah.
1,000-foot Deep End says, Brett, did you know Patrick Mahomes' father played for the Minnesota Twins in the 90s?
I did not know that.
Ooh, you're going to have to get him a Mahomes jersey.
I'm going to have to get him a Mahomes jersey.
Yeah.
I wonder what year.
All right, Shane H. That one was red.
Gabby Hayes.
That was a $20.
No, down under.
I'm not seeing that one.
Oh, you already read that one. The one about Flash is up there for good reason. Urashima Utaru.
Urashima Utaru. Superhero fatigue isn't real. Bad movie fatigue is. Yes and no.
That is my take most of the time. Let's do one more and then we will.
Oodles McNoodles says, Mystery. Alaska is another good movie where the team doesn't win in the end. Yep. I haven't seen that movie.
Yeah, you should see Mystery Alaska. All right, guys, we're going to move on. So I said earlier that a broken clock is indeed right. Twice a day. Jamila Jamil slams the Met Gala honoring Karl Lagerfeld for selective cancel culture. Karl Lagerfeld is kind of famous in this industry now as a dude who basically says, like, don't be fat, and that Adele was fat and that's not good, and like if you don't want to get groped, don't be a model. He said a bunch of like very controversial stuff that it's in his character. But now what she's calling out here is like, look, all of these people who rail against, all of these feminists and all of these proponents of the Me Too movement who suddenly go blind when something like this happens. And this is the number one thing I think of. I'm watching all of this Met Gala crap, and I was complaining the whole night. Like I complained a bunch because I'm like, look at these entitled, spoil, elitist douche canoes who are out here flexing in these ridiculous outfits while spending the other 364 days of the year pretending to care about regular people. They're not regular people. You will never be regular people. That's fine, but don't pretend like you are, and don't pretend like you understand the plight of regular people. But then these people who support these causes, support Me Too, support feminism, then the Met Gala comes along, and suddenly they're blind to the fact that the guy in charge is what they would glean as problematic.
You know that I think it was either 2021 or the year before that, AOC went to the Met Gala where she wore her famous Tax the Rich dress
that she didn't pay for.
I was just gonna say they opened up, or they are planning to open up, an ethics violation investigation. Yep. Because she got all this free stuff that was worth a ton of money because it's the Met Gala and getting your hair done is somehow $1,000 for the event.
It's way more than that. Ever since I saw AOC photoshopped with blonde hair, I'm with Dane now. I'm team AOC is hot as long as she's got blonde hair.
She is. But she's still crazy.
Yeah, it's photoshopped with blonde hair. So this is what Jamila Jamil says. She says, last night, Hollywood and fashion said the quiet part out loud when a lot of famous feminists chose to celebrate at the highest level a man who was so publicly cruel to women, to fat people, to immigrants, and to sexual assault survivors. Whoops, I said the quiet part out loud too. Jamila Jamil wrote, all of the women's publications and spectators online chose to gleefully ignore it. And this is where it gets to the really interesting part. She says, suddenly your appetite to find women's tweets from when they were 12 is gone. Nobody has perfect morals, least of all me, but Jesus Christ, we had a year to course correct here and not award the highest honor possible to a known bigot. And then she says, this is the part that I thought was very interesting, and it's very self-aware in a way that I find most of Hollywood to not be. She says, This isn't about cancel culture. It's not even about Carl. It's about showing how selective cancel culture is within liberal politics. In the most blatant way so far, it's about showing why people don't trust liberals because of slippery tactics and double standards like this. Well, everyone knows the saying, if a leftist didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have standards at all. Right? It's the way it is. And she's right here. She goes, it's not just Hollywood here. The general public online participated and were entirely complicit in the erasure of the truth last night. They replaced their pitchforks with spoons last night to lap that shit up lap that shit right up. If we carry on like this, don't be shocked when we lose the next election. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's like, I don't know if that's the problem. The average person doesn't pay as close attention as they might think. I think the average person is kind of disconnected, but they are unabashedly not unashamed of do as I say, not as I do. And the best description I've ever heard of wokeness is heads I win, tails you lose. Which is really what it is in a lot of ways. Yeah. And they're not afraid of it. They don't care because there's no truth but power. Yep. They don't care that people don't like Karl Lagerfeld as long as they can use that person against them later. Now, if somebody more important comes out later and makes some claim that they want to support, they'll be all too happy to throw him under the bus and pretend like this never happened.
Well, and I want to point out that regular people don't know who Karl Lagerfeld is.
But it's a symptom. This is a symptom of a greater problem, which is that they don't play by their own rules because they don't believe in the rules.
Right,
they believe in power and winning.
Now, I will say, I got so upset seeing some of those Met Gala. It's stupid. It's Halloween for the rich. That's what it is. But seeing some of those costumes was absolutely infuriating. However, the juxtaposition then was the people who dressed normally and elegantly looked so good. Just because they were standing next to people
Margot Robbie
that looked insane.
Margot Robbie looked amazing.
If you guys haven't seen, Florence Pugh decided to shave her head, so she's off my list. But Ice Spice was looking great. She was looking great at the Met Gala, so she replaced her. So shout out Ice Spice. If you guys haven't seen her Met Gala dress, it's actually elegant. She just looks good.
Do you see Pedro Pascal's?
Oh my god,
dude, he looked like me in the morning with a robe on, bathrobe, just in my.
He was maybe the most.
Dude, I don't know why people aren't calling him out. He's definitely grooming. What's her name?
Oh, jeez.
100%.
Yeah.
No,
yes, he is, dude. So? Yes, he is.
Well, she's an adult, so I don't know how you can
I guess.
She's
like leaning
20,
into the
She's
whole...
like 20 years old.
Yeah, she's 20.
She's 20, but she looks 12, which is insane.
But he's definitely...
But it speaks to how smart Henry Cavill was saying, like, when they were making Enola Holmes, like, he basically told Millie Bobby Brown, don't talk to me about stuff like that. I'm not your friend. Yeah. I don't know if he said I'm not your friend, but
well, that's what it is.
We're co-workers. We'll talk about co-workers stuff.
It's like he is her uncle or something, and always in her corner defending her. And I'm like, this is weird. Like, they both went together to the premiere, and I know they were on The Last of Us together, but
that might have been mandated by the studio. I don't.
Maybe. Well, you know what? Hollywood's doing it to them then, but
he's leaning into the daddy stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird to me that
the unproblematic daddy they call him.
To me that that weird outfit he was wearing was just like, is he trying to be Johnny Depp with the ponytail and the mustache now? Yeah, like
Like somebody says Margot Robbie's dress was so ugly though. She looks stunning. She always does. See what it is, guys, is she's so hot that she has to wear ugly clothes so that other people don't get like blown away like a nuclear weapon. There were some other.
And now we're seeing what's it called? Take what is it? The furry bullshit. The
Jared Leto wore he basically showed up as a giant cat.
Yeah. But him, Doja Cat, and Lil Nas all did the same thing, and they were like meowing at people.
Well, that's because and I'm like, apparently
this
Doja
is so
Cat
weird.
Apparently Doja Cat was being Karl Lagerfeld's cat that he owned.
Like, she's the only one that even remotely made sense, and it was still so weird because it's like, it's one thing to give an interview and it, like, you meow as you introduce yourself and then actually conduct the interview. She did it to multiple people interviewing her, and she kept just meowing the whole time. And I'm like, you are nuts, lady. But like, are we surprised from someone who shaves their eyebrows off?
I'm actually a fan of her Twitter. She is a pretty good S poster.
Yeah, but she's also insane.
Yes.
Well, yeah, the
Two
best
things
S
can be-
posters often are.
Yes.
I want to get back to this discussion. So I want to go back to what she said here. She says, this isn't about cancel culture. It's not even about Carl. It's about showing how selective cancel culture is within liberal politics in the most blatant way so far. It's about showing why people don't trust liberals because of slippery tactics and double standards like this. This is something that's very plainly obvious to us, but I kind of am impressed that she's pointing it out, but she's pointing it out in a way where she's saying like, look, like you're making us look bad, and she's got her principles. I can respect somebody even if I disagree with them on 90% of issues, somebody who has their principles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the other big dance that they dress up real weird? It's the Met Gala and not
Homecoming.
the award shows. Homecoming, that's funny.
Well, the White House Correspondents' Dinner was
Oh,
not-
Yeah, there's another one that I'm missing that they also get real weird and go, because this this is not elegance for majority of these celebrities. It's a weird fetish Halloween.
It's the sacrifice to Moloch.
Oh,
That's the one where they get really.
Oh yeah, the Bohemian Grove.
I just saw something the other day that said like some local government basically ruled that a local school could have a Satan club. Because like they were gonna not allow a Satan club, and then they're like, yes, you can have your club for Satan.
I think that was Hannah Claire.
Did she write an article about
I'm
that?
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Remember there's an old video where there's a guy that got interviewed by I think it was a bit that he was doing, but he's a Satanist, and he gave an interview to the local news station. It's actually pretty funny. But he was doing a bit, and he was a comedian. The people who are taking this stuff seriously, I remember I was in summer camp one year, and this girl comes up to me, and given we were young, middle school, but she's like, my favorite colors are black and red because it reminds me of death and blood. And I'm like, oh, nope.
That's like the greatest try hard ever.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh.
Somebody asked, there's another actress that looks like Margot Robbie. What's her name? It's Emma Mackey is who you're thinking of. Emma Mackey is who looks like Margot Robbie. She look her up. She looks exactly like her. It's crazy. Do you think this is the type of thing where maybe people could learn something from Jamila Jamil? Maybe if people were a little bit more honest about this stuff and we had these discussions. I can respect somebody who disagrees with me politically if they're standing on the principles.
Yeah,
right?
no, 100%.
Like, and they're not willing to sacrifice the women who were the victims of Karl Lagerfeld for the sake of getting dressed up and having some stupid gala.
Yeah.
Like, stand by what you believe in and don't compromise it just because you want to go up and get dressed up and go to the Met Gala. Actually stand by what you're saying.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I hope so. But, yeah, I mean, they live in a bubble. They don't think it's weird.
But Jamila Jamil's part of that same bubble.
When you make Harry Styles look normal wearing a dress, you know the whole gala's gone to hell. Like that, and that's what happened this year. Is Harry Styles looked more normal, even though he was wearing like a laced dress.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because people are wearing cat costumes, and dude, the dresses are bigger than this table in front of us.
Yeah.
Like. Oh my God! It just reminds me of those stupid fashion shows you see.
The one was the worst. The one lady, who was it? Janelle Monáe, who looked like a playground like swing set.
Oh my God!
I used to have a friend that was infatuated with Janelle Monáe.
Here's Emma Mackey and Margot Robbie. I'm going to put it on screen and this is different hair color, so it's actually less noticeable than it would normally be. But yes, they do look quite a bit alike. Jamie Presley also looks like her as well.
Oh shoot, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that quintessential Hollywood blonde bombshell look. That's just like,
I looked up AOC blonde. Yeah, can't confirm.
yeah, dude. I'm telling
100%. I'm not even into blondes.
it changes.
You are now.
It changes her, doesn't it? It makes her look different.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Here's a better example of them in this one. Yeah, there we go.
Two different.
Those are two different
Oh
people.
my God.
Yep.
That's
The Jared Leto thing is so weird, dude.
Why does it bother you so much?
Because it's ridiculous, man.
I just think I've angered myself out. I'm just like, these people are stupid.
Yeah.
But it was like, it's granted, I don't know if he's a virtue signaler. I'm only annoyed if you're a virtue signaler.
Jared Leto?
And I'm saying like if you're somebody who's like it's kind of like when we were talking about the who was on trial recently for the ski accident. Pepper Pepper Potts from Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like she doesn't come off as accessible in any way, shape, or form. She looks like a vapid celebrity, but as long as you're not virtue signaling and trying to tell me about how great UBI is, or telling me about how you want equality. Like if you just want to be a rich, snobby, elite person, that's fine as long as you're not virtue signaling to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't care.
Yeah.
Like rappers talk all day about how rich they are. I don't give a crap.
Right.
It's fine with me.
No, Jared Leto kind of is I would assume he is, because, dude, 15, 16 years ago, he was in a 30 Seconds to Mars video talking about climate change.
He's in 30 Seconds to Mars.
I know.
Yes.
Like, he was in the music video. They had images of them playing on an iceberg or whatever.
Then good. Then down with him at the Met Gala.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's...
I hope that cat suit ends up underwater in 20 years.
You know what I'm noticing is the more the guests at the Met Gala that were more like international celebrities rather than American celebrities were the ones that were dressing normal.
Yeah.
And the Americans have gone off the edge of the cliff of sanity. Man, it's so... Oh.
All right.
You know, the cockroach was probably my favorite part of the Met Gala.
Yeah, the cockroach was the real star.
And everyone was freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, you're in New York City.
There's cockroaches everywhere.
They're everywhere. Come on.
That's funny.
Somebody's saying Samara Weaving in Margot Robbie. I'll have to check this out.
Dua Lipa looked really good, too.
Samara Weaving.
You know who else looks alike is Katy Perry and Zoe Deschanel? Or am I thinking of the right?
Yes,
Emily.
Zoe Deschanel. Emily Deschanel was her sister. That was on the show Bones.
Everyone was like, Billie Eilish looks so good, and I don't see it at all. I do not see it at all. She's like kind of repulsive to me.
Kind of
looks like she smells and sweats too much.
Yeah, they look the same too. Samara Weaving, and I think Emma Mackey looks a little bit more like her, but that also might be just the picture.
I used to get never mind. It's gone. I can't think of their names.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah.
I hate that. All right. We got a couple of super chats there, do we not, my friend?
All right. Which one sounds funnier? Broke Burt Mountain or Burt Broke Mountain? Says it's over 9,000. I think the first one, Broke Burt Mountain.
I love it.
Urashima with another super chat says Flash equals DCEU trying to have its cake and eat it too.
That was and it rhymes. You're a poet and you didn't even know
go.
it. Also, always remember DCAU better than DCEU every time.
Shane H. Wilder says, sorry, must have had a stroke writing that $20 super chat earlier.
It happens, my friends.
Yeah, it's all right. And I'm not the best at reading. So,
dude, no, I'm telling you right now, I'm already horrible enough at reading, but it's like there's something about reading the super chats that actually makes it harder. And it's not even like they're poorly written most of the time. It's like literally it's just because I'm actually like scrolling over as I'm doing it.
Right.
And I know that my lack of intelligence is coming out as I'm reading it because I can't read well.
Yeah, for some reason you have this in Comic Sans, so it's like, anyway. Shane H. Wilder again with the super chat.
What kind of shade was that?
Jeez. Who hurt you?
At least it's not. Wait, what's the
Jared Leto in his cat suit?
What's the one from? Did you guys ever see the what's the font from Avatar that they always make fun of?
I have no clue.
Oh yeah, it's they did the Ryan Gosling episode of Saturday Night Live where he's sitting down with a therapist and he's like they got away with it. They made the Avatar font papyrus. Oh, and the lady's like, Avatar, like the movie from 2009. He's like, yes, this man, this graphic designer, he just highlighted the word Avatar and picked the pull down menu and just selected papyrus. And she's like, I think they're making a sequel. He goes, they changed the font, right? She goes, oh, I don't know. She looks up. No, it looks the same. And he flips the table over. And so he ends up like going around town. He's like talking to a lady in the room. He's like, the font. Did they change the font? So why do people everyone knows that Massage Envy is the only place that should be allowed to use papyrus font.
Yes.
Just saying. Massage parlors.
Yes.
Shane H. Wilder with another super chat says, 1, I told you to watch the extended cuts, Bert. 2, since Mary is not here, I'll be the token Catholic and say not to besmirch Tolian.
Tolkien.
Well, it says Tolian, but I think he means token.
Well, you're just being a dick now. Like, you know what he meant.
I'm just gonna say,
I'm reading what he wrote. All right.
On the extended cuts, hard pass, guys. I'm sorry for nothing. I'm not sorry.
T-Bone But the super chat says, the man, the myth, the legend, Bert. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Shout out to Tebow.
Bert is just Brett with one T and not spelled in the same order.
Bert Brett.
Yeah.
This guy's name is DD Mega Doo Doo 97. Yep. Boys. Guess what day it is? It's a day for the boys.
Yes.
Chief Breet. High Desert, Bert and Kellen. This episode is dedicated to taking sheet and shaking teats.
And tomorrow will be an episode for the boys as well, because it will be me, Kellen, and Phil. And hopefully there will be some screaming on there.
Oh, gosh.
I've got an update. We'll finish the rest of the super chats after we're very close to a second crisis party. But I have another one, guys. I have some special Ian Crossland screams to implement in the next crisis party that will come after the Alec Baldwin crisis party that will be next week. So just keep an eye out for that. It's coming.
Yours truly.
Yes, he
designed 5% of that Alec Baldwin crisis party sound.
Yep.
So I'm pretty ready. I'm pretty excited to hear it.
Yep, it's going to come next week. All right, guys, we're moving on. We got one more thing, guys. Chris Tyson addresses the rumors that they were kicked out of Mr. Beast's channel.
I thought it was a she. It's a they now?
Oh, come on.
I think Chris Tyson has said that he's not super attached to the pronoun thing.
No, you have to be. You don't get the choice. You think you can choose?
Apparently you can.
You think you can choose?
Well, the whole point of this is this kind of just proves everyone's point that just the fact that he wasn't in one video means that it's now national news every time, because one thing that I've learned about the internet is it's amazing. I love the autistic nature of the internet. It's my favorite part of the internet. They overanalyze everything. Sometimes it's ridiculous. A lot of times it's amazing. You'll get the cringe where me and Mary showed this video one day where there's this weird type of relationship. They're it's a form of pareidolia where they see stuff that's not there, like you see in the clouds, where they're look at Johnny Depp and in Camille Vasquez, look at the way he fixes her phone charger. He loves her. I'm like, you're just a weirdo who took too much Adderall and are seeing things that aren't really there in this case, but then they make videos of it and stuff like this. But this is what happens now when you have a unique identity and it becomes part of who you are, and you work for a multi-million-dollar empire, and people are going to start now questioning whether you yourself have you been fired? Did you voluntarily quit? What is going on here? Now, this is distractions that Mr. Beast can't really afford. Nobody can really afford these distractions.
Are you kidding me? Mr. Beast doesn't care. He's playing Mario Kart in Japan. He left the distractions home.
I don't think that your business can sustain this long term if these things become a problem. It becomes a distraction.
I think this is more proof of cancel culture doesn't exist unless you let it exist. So Mr. Beast, he's just refusing to address it. It is a little bit. Everyone's
no, this isn't cancel culture. This is just, I'm talking about the fact that it's become a thing. Now this will be a thing every time.
I know, but what I'm saying is they're not really Chris Tyson keeps bringing it to the forefront. Mr. Beast just keeps choosing. He's not acknowledging it. He's not encouraging it. He's also not, slamming him either. My favorite part of this article, though, is apparently it's a Snapchat stream.
Yeah.
Where Chris is oh, I'm still on the team. And I'm like, dude, well, why are you talking? Go on Twitter, go on Instagram.
Well, it got reposted on Twitter.
Sure. Yeah. But who streams on Snapchat?
that is a weird thing. It's it's like people who still use Vimeo.
Yeah, Vimeo. I mean, Snapchat's...
That's a joke. That filmmakers use Vimeo because of there's no quality loss on Vimeo. Yeah. But I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So
I can already read somebody in the chat actually, I'm an editor for this company. I use Vimeo all the time. There was a time when Vimeo was trying to make a play for YouTube, and they were putting Vimeo ads on YouTube. It was a weird time.
The audacity though that Chris has, he's I told Jimmy that just because I want to spend time with Tucker, I don't know who Tucker is. I guess that's his kid.
Yep.
But and he's traveling a lot. I'm just going to come and go as I please. I'm sorry, you don't tell that to your boss that you're just going to come and go as you please. You don't do that. I don't know why he thinks he can get away with that.
I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to be look, Tim.
I'll just show up and do the show when I want.
I got stuff to do. Like I got places to go.
I haven't seen my kid in 5 years.
I haven't been home to. I could use a vacation. I'm just saying. Like I haven't been home in a couple of years. Maybe I need to go home. No. I do actually. I'm probably gonna because we're probably gonna be off for the 4th of July. I might take because my birthday's July 2nd, so I might go like home for the 2nd through the 4th. Then of course I'll be home for like 2 days, and I'm like, I got to get the hell out of here.
It's a long walk.
Yeah, to Minnesota. Yeah, that's how would I get there? Well, I'd fly home.
You can cross country ski.
I mean, I might find a car by then. I might find a car by then.
Yep. That's still far. I would fly.
Yeah, well, it's like 15. It's like a 15-hour drive.
Yeah.
It says somebody says there's a chat right here. Busted Cap says actually, Brett, I use Vimeo all the time. Even have the app. See, there you go. And somebody in the chat says the Fast and the Furious movies are trash. Well, those are fighting words.
I'm not looking forward to them just going back to their roots. It seems like it's going to be boring.
Russell Romick says a vacation. Look, I could use 2 extra days off. Just saying.
Yeah.
Why don't you do PCC live on the road?
Live stream the whole time.
Just complain about movies.
Why don't you get like an RV and you have like a setup where you could take it with?
Live from Minnesota, it's Pop Culture Crisis with your host, Bert.
That would be interesting. Look, I just think this is.
Oh.
I love it when Tom Cruise yells at me. It's Tom Cruise yelling at me first. It's Tom Cruise and Christian Bale yelling at me. Like I guarantee you, there's somebody out there who's like, I love that. It's like the the Skeletor meme where it says like, "Jokes on you, I'm into that shit."
Is that where he was yelling at people during COVID?
Yeah, Tom Cruise was like, because people were like walking around without a mask, and people were like, he's like, dude, we're spending like the insurance on this is insane. They're looking for any reason to shut us down. Put your freaking mask on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cruisy boy.
Somebody says I did have a black lung vacation recently. That's a sick day. That doesn't count. That's like one day in like 2.5, 3 years.
God, that sounds serious.
On the road crisis. Well, my voice was. I mean, my voice still sounds like crap right now, but it's fine.
It's all right.
So you think Mr. Beast will be? I agree with you. Like I kind of went off on a tangent earlier. I don't think that this will affect Mr. Beast long term. I think his business will be fine. But I'm just saying that now it is an extra headache that's on his plate every time.
So here's my prediction. I think because Mr. Beast is my age, which is really makes me depressed trying to think about how much money he has.
I know, right?
But I think they're just not going to address it. They're not going to feed into this fantasy that Chris is living in. And eventually Chris is going to either this is the less likely scenario, just become a man again. Or 2, he's going to quietly disappear from the Mr. Beast company. And
how do you quietly disappear though? People will notice, and I don't think you can quietly do it.
I think it's going to get to a point where no one really cares about him, and they just kind of cut him loose. It's not going to be controversial is what I mean. You know,
I disagree.
Or he's going to leave on his own volition because
But that's what I'm saying.
There's going to be more trips that he's not included on. The
only way he leaves is by his own volition, and that's what I'm saying is like that's the rub of all this, right? It's like he now has he never can get fired. Like you can't fire this dude. He could just be saying, "Hey, I don't want to come to work today." They're not going to fire him. Yeah. No way.
You know what's really sad? Dylan Mulvaney's merch is like completely sold out.
What?
Yep.
He has merch?
Yep, he has merch. So, as much as I think people don't care about this stuff, they do. They totally do. And I don't know if Chris Tyson has merch, but if he does, people are going to buy it. They're going to eat it up. And that's what it is. It's 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds. That's like, it's really creepy. You're a grown adult and these are your fans. It's like, never mind. But it's
no.
weird.
The point is to say weird. Something. You're supposed to say something because it's a podcast. You're not supposed to never mind.
I was going to bring
Logan Paul have like a bunch of young fans too.
Yeah, he was also young though.
Yeah. No, but he was still a couple years older. Like I think he was in early 20s, and these kids were like 14, 12, something like that.
I mean, the
How
average.
old is he now? He's only like 25, right? 27.
Probably like mid 20s.
So he got big when he's been doing YouTube for like 10 years now. Sure. So I think that's less weird. It also wasn't. Maybe it's just as weird. Maybe I'm being a little bit biased here, but like your children should not be your main.
Do you think that's like somebody like Mulvaney's being funded? Like,
Dude, he is.
Dude, yes, they do.
But I'm
10 and
saying, I mean,
12-year-olds
like,
buy
no,
merch.
I mean like the merch. Like, do you think that's like a demoralization tactic to like just buy the merch so it looks like, look at it, it's sold out.
Oh.
Everyone loves it. You're in the minority.
Okay, so that's an interesting take. I would want to look up to see who's actually buying the stuff if they're posting photos.
Because it's the type of thing where it's like,
Yeah.
it's like you can see that merch is sold out, but do you ever see it on the street?
Exactly.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what's Jeffree Star is like a makeup line, sells out within like an hour of every time he launches a product.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, if it sells out within an hour, maybe he had like 5 products.
I was just gonna say, how much inventory does he have?
Well, it's like people will buy their own books on to end up on the New York Times bestsellers list. It's actually a tactic that they use so that they can put best-selling author on the header.
I did that with the Burt sticker that Jessica put up. I bought like 10 of them, and she told me like 20 had sold, and I was like, I'm literally half of them.
Look how popular I am.
I'm so popular.
Is that what you say? You're like, oh man, yes, I am Mr. Popular. aren't
I am Mr. Popular.
Well,
exactly.
perception is reality.
Thank you.
Perception is reality. So it's like and you could trick yourself into it. Like enough time passes, you're like, how many of those stickers did I buy? 1, 2? Mm-hmm. Then like 5 years go by, you're like, man, I remember when everyone bought all those stickers of me, and by that time you've forgotten just how many of them.
So every time you
bought.
bring up,
Exactly.
just inflate the number more and more. Be like, you remember that time people bought 15 of my stickers? Remember that time people bought like 35 of my stickers? Just keep going
Amazing. Amazing. Look, it just seems like a really, really bad situation to be in long term when you have to worry about when every little change in your routine is going to be how it's going to be viewed by people on the internet who are quick to judge and quick to write things and say things that are going to make it look like Mr. Beast is the bad guy if something happens.
What
when
if-
it could be because he doesn't want to.
Well, now I'm scared because Mr. Beast does these outlandish videos where he's like, I spent 3 days locked in a prison and stuff like that.
I spent 3 days.
I hired professional bounty hunters to track me down. It's like, okay.
I spent
we're
3 days at a non-binary
I was just gonna
sensitivity
say,
training
I
seminar.
spent 2 weeks on hormones.
Oh yeah, he's like, I spent. Yeah, he's
His face is shocked or something.
I think they have
man.
fun making those thumbnails every time.
I read about it. So they don't really do them anymore. So like they spent a day or two taking 500 headshots or so of
Yeah.
Mr. Beast doing crazy expressions, and they just cycle through them now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's genius, absolutely genius. He never has to take a photo again for a thumbnail. Maybe he will after a few years because he'll look different. But I'm like, genius.
Yep.
You know.
All right, guys. We got a couple of super chats there left before we finish off today. We got go for it right there.
All right, let's see here. PCC super chats. Hey, Brett, says Michael Williams. Let me get a birthday shout out.
Dude, happy birthday, my friend. How old are you? You should let us, if you're still in the chat, my friend, let us know how old you are. Happy birthday to you.
Unusable alpaca. I guess I like that name. He says favorite soundtrack is Cruel Intentions.
Yeah, that had Every Me and Every You by Placebo. It had, what was it, Bittersweet Symphony? Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Gabby Hayes says Colbert's greatest achievement was and still is Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. I've never seen that.
He was in that?
I guess so. I like Jimmy Fallon's greatest achievement, in my opinion, when he's in this like 2-minute scene in Band of Brothers where he's just delivering ammo and driving a Jeep. He's so insignificant. Javier Vasquez says, excellent show. Just started watching recently. No Mary, but the boys still carry. Oh, yes,
Hell
we
yeah.
do. Also, I wonder what Leto orders at the Spirit Cookings. Oh, gross. Gross. I just thought about that. T-Bone with a $5 super chat says, was having a bad day, but Bert just made my day. Thank
You're
you,
welcome,
sir.
buddy. Shout out to T-Bone.
All right. And Shane H. Wilder with a $10 super chat says, I agree. Brett, Kellen is being a dick. Well, although I did forget how to spell words correctly, so here's a word for Kellen. Oh, God. Can you read that?
Say it again.
Can you read that word? I can't
Where?
read that word.
I can't read that word.
Flock and...
Flock and
All right, I'll read the definition first.
Flockinification.
It's the act of assessing something as worthless. Flock and Was I at least close? Do you know that word? Never heard that word before. Anyway,
Dingo Icarus says Trainspotting has a pretty good soundtrack.
I would like to know what's on the Trainspotting soundtrack. I saw Trainspotting back in the day, but I don't remember any of the music from it. It's funny, too, because when they mentioned Cruel Intentions, the music from Cruel Intentions came back to me instantly. But maybe it's just because that movie resonated with me more than Trainspotting did, but I would have to know what was on that one.
Wrath with the super chat says, what's your opinion on Warhammer 40K as a franchise?
Thoughts?
I've never played it, but I always do enjoy games that have a long time fan base, have a long time player base, and stay out of controversy. Yeah. So I appreciate that. I've never been into Elder Scrolls or any of those games, but I know how popular they are, and fans are satisfied.
Yep. And also, in Cavill makes it very easy to want to support something when you're as awesome as he is with the fans, and as awesome as he is with his love of the properties that he signs on to do. Right? Like, you don't want to. It's weird because I think about this now, and I think about how easy it would be for so many of these studios to get good publicity by just having somebody who seems to really want to be there and want to support the art and not just want to redesign it and make it into something that it wasn't before for the sake of their own storytelling. And it's a very simplistic thing to do, but they never do it.
Right.
And you can get so much goodwill. The Witcher had so much goodwill going into that first season because people like Henry Cavill, and they knew how much Henry Cavill cared about The Witcher.
Theoden, King of Brohan, says, I saw The Flash with Batman at the old theaters on Hollywood Boulevard. What a twist. I mean, I really expected Ezra Miller to be in it, but when the trench coat opened it was just some homeless guy.
Also, you know what else? Speaking of movie soundtracks, I watched over the last weekend, I went on a binge of Terminator. I watched all the Terminator movies because I hadn't seen them in years, and I was watching Terminator: Sarah Connor Chronicles, and I'm like looking at all these references that I know but couldn't really place. And I was talking about how nice it was to watch something where the references and the member berries aren't like force fed to you.
Yeah.
Like it's not like being shoved down your throat. Like in the first 20 minutes, you do get like a "Come with me if you want to live," but that was about the only like over the top one. And what I remember, what I never remembered was how hilariously not like the music from the original Terminator is just basically 80s synth. And it's like, it's supposed to be terrifying, but it's really just like 80s synth. Like, you could have been halfway to a Miami Vice premiere. It's incredible. Like, it actually adds to the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And as much as Terminator 2 is a better movie, Terminator 1 is more, it's faster paced. And I love it. And it's just, I'm watching these scenes where he's chasing her, and the music, it's just synth guitar and an organ, and it's amazing.
Who would win in a fight, the Terminator or 3 RoboCops?
Terminator.
What about the melty metal Terminator guy?
No, I'm talking about OG one, not the new age ones that are like impossible to destroy.
I'm sorry, that's another thing. People making movies today should be embarrassed by how well the Terminator 2 CGI holds up.
That's true.
The liquid metal CGI in Terminator 2 holds up so unbelievably well. It's insane.
I wonder how much they spent on that.
I mean, it came out 7 or 8 years after the original Terminator.
Right, and that's after how successful the first one was.
7 or 8 years back.
Like, yeah, because Terminator came out in 84, I believe.
I think it came out when I was born, Terminator 2.
Terminator came out in 84, and Terminator 2 came out in 91.
Year before I was born.
Yeah, so like I watched that, and the like when he melts through the bars, and when he rematerializes, it's so good.
Yeah.
And also, did you know that apparently Robert Patrick like worked out for like 6 months to be able to run fast enough to like catch up to the motorcycle?
Well, but he had to practice running that particular style, like this lifeless way of running.
Yeah, with the arms up, which is better than the Ezra Miller running, which is the weird pushing his arms out, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
So, look, and I love
this guy
Robert.
Can't do anything right.
It's also funny, too, because Robert Patrick, it's like Robert Patrick ended up becoming kind of like an accidental action icon from that role. But it's not like he was overly buff like Arnie. Like he was in good shape, but he's just in good shape. Also, one of my favorite memes of all time comes from that movie when it's when John Connor's friend talks to the cop and he's like, and he tells him he's like, John's not there. It says, just remember, this kid saved humanity by instinctively knowing to lie to the cops. Like Terminator 2 is so good too, but like go back and watch those movies again this weekend. I don't even hate Terminator 3 with Christina Loken, like with Kristana. I think it's Kristana. I always say Christina, but it's Kristana Loken. And then if you can, guys, go watch Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles. You'll enjoy that as well. Also, should I give them a recommendation? I'm not going to give a recommendation today, guys, because actually what I'm doing is right now. In the chat, somebody says, Michael Williams, happy birthday.
We have a couple more super chats.
Go for it.
Rotten Trails says Judgment Night soundtrack? Question mark?
I've never heard it.
I have not either. Michael Williams just turned 22. Thanks for everything you guys do.
Happy birthday, man. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday, man. 22 is a good age.
And now go play Taylor Swift.
That song came out when I turned 22. It was funny.
Oh, is that right?
There's a really great dose of Buckley where he breaks down that song. He goes, well, it's because they can't make a song about what it's actually like to be 22, which is like, I'm going to pay some bills and pay my rent and go to work. And it's like, well, that's joyless.
Yeah.
But guys, I do want to mention that I am going to always do the Brett Recommends, but this show, and I'm going to explain it in the video as well, is like a lot of what we're talking about is so depressing sometimes. It's interesting and it's relevant, but it's depressing. I want to talk about stuff that I love and shows that I love and movies that I love. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm starting a series where it's going to be called Have You Seen? And I'm going to do pitches for shows that I'd like people to watch. And it's going to be a little bit more in depth. It's going to be me talking about it, but I'm going to include some clips of the show. And I'm working on the first one right now. I started editing it last night, so I'm probably going to be putting those videos out maybe once a month or something like that. Just something that kind of counteracts the fact that a lot of what we talk about is so depressing. I want to also feel like I'm talking about the stuff that I like as well. So it's something I'm going to be working on. So, all right, my friend, shout yourself out, and the cult as the cult leader, shout yourself out.
Shout out to the Burtoning. Shout out to the Bertopolis on Discord. I'm Chris Bertman. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at manofbert. We just got recognized, Timcast News, by Twitter as a official organization. So we have that nice little gold star.
Thanks, Elon.
Thanks, Elon. The gold check mark. So even like my Twitter account, Hannah Claire's Twitter account, they put like the little Timcast logo by it, so I look extra official now. It's kind of nice. I feel like it's stolen valor because I'm not that important. But yeah, go to timcast.com, click the read tab. You can read all of our articles.
You know what I realized? That Elon could have been a genius that instead of like, even if he had just left the blue check exclusive for celebrities and made them pay, there's only so many celebrities, but what about making it unexclusive and making all of the people that want to get them just to spite the celebrities pay? That's a way better business model.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, my friend, there's a couple more super chats.
Yes, there is. Michael Williams said, I actually turned 29. I don't know how I messed that up. Sure. You just don't want to admit that you share a Taylor Swift birthday or something.
If you've ever heard me talk on here, man, all I do is screw stuff up, so don't worry about it.
Happy birthday either way. Shane H. Wilder says, I did a search for a word to make you struggle. Yeah, you did. I mean, that's a good one. I'm going to have to like go on to Google and like make it pronounce it for me, because I've never seen that word before, and that was a lot of letters next to each other.
There's also this amazing video of some like unpronounceable town that some meteorologist gets right first try.
Yeah. It's like in somewhere in like Norway or something like that, or like Iceland.
And the dude just nails it.
Yeah.
Like no thanks.
It's a meteorologist, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Right. Anyways, you guys can follow me at KellenPDL. Remember, if you guys watch any other streamers on YouTube, recommend that they raid our channel. That is a feature on YouTube, and I guess people are just not aware of it. But tell your grandma about us. Tell your neighbor down the street about us. But don't tell your mom. Don't tell your dad. They're not allowed to know.
What about your neighbor next door?
Neighbor next door. Yes. Just put a note right up against their glass late at night as you're just peering in, and tell them to watch Pop Culture Crisis. Don't actually do all that. Don't be creepy, but recommend us. Organic growth is the best growth. But yeah, follow me at KellenPDL. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Guys, he is right. Organic growth is the best growth. And right now we have passed 59,000 subscribers. We're on our way to 60K. Awesome. I say this a lot, and I know I sound like a broken record, but that's amazing to me. So thank you so very much for all of your support. If you'd like to like this video, please do that before you go. Subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Leave a comment down here for the algorithm. There's a couple of people who are I can always count in the chat as soon as I click out of this video. I try very hard not to read the comments, but I do have to end up reading some of them just by happenstance. My eyes wander past the screen, and so he's like, for the algorithm. I always appreciate that, guys. If you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both. The show is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen to this podcast, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, we're on Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Down with Bert.
Bye.